two, one.
Okay, Austin Danger Powers. One blue crushed velvet suit. Hey, all right. One frilly lace cravat. There it is. One silver medallion with a male symbol. One pair of Italian boots. Beer grandma boys. One vinyl record album. Bert Butcharch plays his hits. Hey, Bert, how are you? One Swedish made penis enlarger pump. That's not mine. One credit card receipt for Swedish made penis enlarger pump signed by Austin Powers. I'm telling you, baby, that's not mine. One warranty card for Swedish made penis enlarger pump filled out by Austin Powers. I don't even know what this is. This sort of thing ain't my bag, baby. One book. Swedish made penis enlarger pumps and me. This sort of thing is my bag, baby. By Austin Powers. Pretty interesting book there. I'd like to pick it up. Welcome back to Campy Cat. It's been a while, a
Yeah, it's
good
been a month.
month, I want to say.
I guess we did
Crazy.
say we were going on a break and we kind of like missed out on like a lot. So, yeah, but we are
Yeah, so much.
officially back. Yes. Yes.
Yes is back, back,
Yes.
back again. Campy's back, back. Tell a friend,
Yeah,
friend,
and we're
friend. Crazy.
doing a light comedy trilogy to celebrate our epic return, even though, we have taken a month off before, but it did kind of feel longer for us since we went for like a month without even talking about the
I was on
podcast.
vacation. I was living it up, so I don't even think about no podcasts. You know,
Yeah, so yeah, it feels longer than it probably actually was, but regardless,
yeah.
yeah, it's good to try and record another episode once again. But
Mhm,
anyways, we've missed quite a bit of news throughout the summer. And like I
mhm.
said in the intro of whatever the fuck was last episode, which was wild. Uh,
Oh, I love. By the way, let me know if you love that last episode below. It might be one of our peaks, but
it might be. It's
yeah,
the best and worst episode of Campy Cast.
it depends on what you're looking for. It was terrible
That's
and
true.
terrible. The point is, a
Anyways,
lot of news has happened recently.
yeah,
A
like
lot of stuff that we had to shoot down because
because
Trump
Donald
got
Trump
shot.
got shot in the ear, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, okay, I know this is weird to talk about it like at the start of September because it felt like it happened like ages ago at this point. So it's kind of weird having like a discussion like it recently happened, but
Hmm.
it happened. It's kind of an insane thing to think about. And I know we said in like I think it was the PSI user Fantasia episode but that we wouldn't bring up politics, but like this is a huge thing. People
Look,
memeing
my
about it.
only politics are that I love Richard Nixon, but like, if we're talking about like for real, we're both Canadian. I know we're
I
America's
think
hat,
we've
right? The
teased
point
that
is,
before, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've even mentioned that before. It's not like a relevant piece of info. The point is, we're inherently not into American politics. Embarrassingly enough, I know more American like people in politics than Canadian because I've watched too much The Simpsons and I get all my political knowledge from cartoons. It's quite funny. But point is, right, this is guy goes beyond politics, just a wild thing that happened. A guy was
Yeah.
trying to kill Donald Trump and
And
he
then he's got
missed
that insane
his
image of
ear.
him raising his hand, like that same
I know that
picture with the,
people thought that
yeah.
the fucking thing was rigged because of the how coincidentally nice that shot looked. I don't believe that because there were actual
Can you
casualties,
think of the
and if it wasn't,
variables if that was staged by Trump? Okay, you just gotta hit me right here, like just right
plus
here. Don't kill me.
what if he was purposely trying to miss? What if he did hit him though? You know, like
It would have been so easy for something to go wrong. So obviously,
exactly,
it's not. It's a
and
funny
also as
conspiracy.
yeah. Plus, is just on top of that, like if it was an attempt to make Trump look good and be like, "Oh man, Donald Trump, an American hero, he's gonna save us in the polls," that doesn't really work because everyone's already forgot, which is wild to think about. Bro just fucking forgot. that the president got shot, assassinated. But I don't know. To get into this further is to get into unironic political beliefs.
And
And
we're
quite
not
frankly,
doing
I don't
that.
care that much, nor do I want to make this a political podcast from two people who are not political in the slightest. All I will
Yeah.
say is that it was very funny that the second he got shot, there were people already making memes of it. There's a fucking South Park image that makes me die laughing when I think about
There's
it,
the
where it's
smiling
Tweet.
friends thing with Mr. Frog. That was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
funny.
My favorite, yeah, my favorite is when Tweak shoots and Jimmy's like, you fucking missed." It's so funny.
Uh,
And also, there's a thing that does actually piss me off though, where I don't know if you heard about this, just in relation to it, where Tenacious D, Anthony, Jack
oh,
Black's
I
like,
heard about this. They like
yeah,
there
yeah.
was this whole thing with them potentially breaking up because like
Yeah, yeah, because the other guy, Kyle, forgive me, I'm no Tenacious D stan, but he was like, he made a joke at one of their live concerts, "Don't miss next time," and and Jack Black came in and was like, I couldn't believe that we would condone such terrible actions. It's so very very sad, and I think it's kind of a cowardly move to be like, because the people who are saying, "Wow, you can't make fun of Trump, he's a hero," they'll also all go like, wow, you guys can't joke about anything anymore. And they're just like the biggest bigots on the planet. I thought that was stupid. It's a very tame joke. Don't miss. Like, come on.
yeah, I don't think it was like that bad. I think it was literally
Yeah,
just a joke probably. So,
exactly. It literally was.
yeah.
And also, by the way, I also doubt that Jack Black even agrees that the joke was too far. I think literally he just has too many big connections right now
Yeah, and
that
he
he can't.
doesn't want to risk like looking
Yeah, exactly,
bad
like,
and like
literally, yeah,
condoning
yeah, I'll
any sort of
actually on
hate
bad
speech.
jokes, like, yeah, both of them, exactly, like, it's literally just bro's gonna be in the fucking Minecraft movie, he needs to be in, like, a representable state of mind, and
Exactly. Yeah.
kinda
Any
sucks that he has to do that to protect his image, but I don't know, Jack Black's smarter than that, I
Yeah,
trust that, yeah.
and then Biden stepped down because let's be honest, he
Yeah,
was not gonna win that election because everybody is thinks and yeah, he is just really
yeah.
old.
Again,
So
this is I don't even say this as a political statement, more as, like, just a general human statement. Joe Biden would not do anything if he's a fucking like crumbling. Like he's so old and he just doesn't look he seems every time I see a clip of him, he seems so out of it. He was trying to debate Trump and it was like a comedy sketch. It was not in good shape. So no matter what your politics are, even if you agree with what Biden's saying, which again I don't want to get into that 'cause politics, it would be weird to have a fucking like comatose man running the office. So
mhm.
you know,
But
whatever.
enough with this political stuff. We're gonna be in out of order with a lot of this stuff. But another big thing that happened is Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Doctor
Yay.
Doom in Avengers Doomsday
Yeah.
because fuck the whole Kang thing because of the Jonathan Majors allegations. And instead of just recasting him, they're just like changing stuff up, bringing Robert Downey
Mm.
Jr. back because people, everybody
Mm.
loved Iron Man. So if everybody loves him, they're gonna go
Yeah,
see this movie. But it's also like
can't just be stupid Link.
it really
Um,
just feels like it comes out of like an act of desperation, just so like people are more interested into seeing this movie, other than like I guess, for Spider-Man and I don't know, like the few other Marvel heroes people care about. Like I
yeah,
guess I
exactly,
guess
exactly.
Deadpool and Wolverine since that movie did really well. So
It
yeah.
just reeks of desperation, the whole thing I'm like seeing here. Because I'm not even in that MCU stuff. I've made that clear on the podcast before. But all their plans are crumbling. Their multiverse thing is just in shambles right now. Clearly, they're not in any good state for that. So just be like, how we gonna solve this? Doctor Doom, people like him. Who are they gonna
Yeah,
blame?
they're just
I
throwing
don't.
him in. He's gonna be like, it's gonna be hard to. There's not gonna be any sort of interesting build up to it, and then feels like there's just gonna be like, I don't know. I feel like this could so easily go wrong. Like, I hope like Robert Downey Jr. is at least gonna do a good performance as him, since he is a good actor.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. Like that whole this whole like phase of the MCU has just been like a huge mess of tones, ideas,
Mhm.
everything like just not flowing well at all. I don't know. I don't think I need to tell you that. A lot of people have been noticing Marvel's downfall. I think we've talked about it in the past even. So, yeah, I don't know. It feels a bit out of like an act of desperation because people like Robert Downey Jr., so
Mhm.
bringing him back would get people in seats for Avengers Doomsday and
Yeah, it
Secret
just, I
Wars.
respect that Robert Downey Jr. I know for a fact just did it for the paycheck. But regardless, it just like, okay, bro, comes across a little cheap, a little desperate, because it is both cheap and desperate. So, nice one, guys. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have huge things to say on that. Just the fact that again, it literally is like I think 500 mil or something wild like that. So I get why he did it, and I don't. And it's funny when he tried to be like, I would only take the role of just an interesting character, and Doctor Doom seemed really interesting. It's just like that's lame. And I also will wonder, are they going to try to be like, is this an alternate version of Iron Man? Are they going to like actually
I
tie
don't
it
know what they're
to
gonna do
Iron
with
Man?
that. Like
I don't know. Are they
it's a
gonna like
bit.
acknowledge it in some way? I hope it's not a stupid joke where Peter's like, you remind me of Mr. Stark, Mr. Doom, or something like that. That'd be so corny. I really hope that doesn't happen. And you know what?
Yeah.
Stupid fucking decision. So,
We'll see
yay!
where
But
this
yeah.
goes in like what 2 years when Avengers Doomsday even comes out. But anyways, D23 happened. There was like quite a bit of announcements from over at Disney, such as they
Mhm.
announced Incredibles 3, so that's officially happening. What do you think of that?
That one is just sad because everyone wanted Incredibles 2. It was huge. People were fucking lining the streets. They're like, we like before it got confirmed, it was like probably I think the number one Pixar sequel most requested. Because you could do anything with the Incredibles characters. It's like superhero, you could do an actual superhero story. You could maybe age them up, do it in like the 70s or 80s. You got a good thing there. And they did the first movie again, and it was really lame, and they just did it so fucking Jack could be a marketing ploy. And now Incredibles 3 is happening and no one cares because Incredibles 2 burned people really badly. And I think that's very sad. I want to have faith because I know that Brad Bird was heavily restricted. Toy Story 4 got pushed back, and so Incredibles 2 got pushed forward. And I doubt that idea
Yeah,
would
that
stick because
probably affected
I'm
like the
sure
production. I hope like this it would be
I'm
really
sure
cool if this would
someone
be
at
good though.
Disney was like, "Oh, can you make Jack more prominent? Because we can market that there's a cute baby." Because Disney loves doing that. I'm sure that was
Yeah.
a factor. I don't know. I fucking love Brad Bird. He's my classic Simpsons homie. I love Iron Giant. I love Incredibles. I love Ratatouille. I'm not Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol though. I have history with that franchise. But point is, all those I've met. Oh, and he did do the Bartman W. But I have massive respect for him. But Incredibles 2 is just kind of like based on
Yeah.
that, my hope is not here, especially since a lot of the announcements are very much in the sense of like
A
well,
lot
you
of
know what I mean. Sort of yeah, just like
a
desperate. Like, oh,
lot of
this sequel and
sequels.
yeah.
Like
Incredibles,
damn,
oh,
that's
this sequel, that sequel, this
for
sequel, that sequel. Okay.
Zootopia 2. There's gonna be reptiles this time, and I guess there were no snakes in the first Zootopia. Now that I think about it,
I hope
so
they do a better racism allegory because the one in Zootopia 1 is just kind of like
yeah, it's like
it's
it's kind
shaky.
of
I haven't seen that
stupid.
movie in a while, but I have issues with that. And then there's other stuff like fucking. I guess the Moana 2 is coming out, which is
I keep
wild.
forgetting that's happening.
Literally, I only remembered it's happening now because Anthony told me before recording started. Otherwise, I would not know,
Yeah,
and
cause
that's
like
crazy.
it's weird because I feel like I just haven't seen much hype or interest in it, and it's like it feels like it was literally supposed to be a TV series, so now but then they made it into a movie because I guess Disney wanted to get something out in 2024, so they got this, and I don't see much hype for it like at all. Like it's just not much talk around it, and they're also doing a remake. They're gonna do a live action remake even though the movie only came out in 2016. So in that way, it's kind of
Yeah,
bizarre.
it seems like the last bit of desperation to bring it. Like, oh, we're pushing it this forward. I don't know if that one's gonna do that well because a lot of these are relying on nostalgia, and unless we're appealing to the nostalgia of like, I guess like teens now, 2016 is still like I know it seems like a whiles off now, but it's still only like 8 years. So that I don't know if that's gonna ring as like positively, like that. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
that might land,
I don't know.
but
I don't know if the movie would do well. Probably, definitely not as good as like what Inside Out 2's been pulling. I doubt it'll do that good, but I think it'll probably make a profit. I don't know. Even though I've heard like just a lack of hype towards it. So yeah, I I I don't know about that. Uh,
yeah.
in terms of other stuff, the
Wait, no, it
fucking
was a Toy Story 5. We didn't
oh
mention
yeah,
Toy Story
Toy
5.
Story. Yeah, I was gonna bring that up actually. Toy
Yeah.
Story 5. It's
I'm
about
hyped
like
for Toy Story 5. Woody is gonna battle against Skibbity Toilet for the attention of Bonnie, and it'll be so funny.
I
Because
get
I'm like,
yeah.
I it's like thing is, I think Toy Story 4 is bad, but it's one of my least favorite bad movies to talk about. I forget if I mentioned that on the podcast, but it's a whole story. Long story short, I think it's terrible, but I would never want to do a Toy Story 4 campy cast. But point is, Toy Story 5, right? I'm actually really excited for this movie because it looks like it's just gonna be so so bad, honestly, because like it seems like a fucking Facebook mom inspirational thing where they're gonna go, technology is actually making us less connected because Bonnie's playing on her fucking iPad instead of like playing with toys. It's like, oh, technology bad,
I
outside
don't know if they'd like
imagination
go with. I feel
good.
their thought process was wait a minute. People don't really play with toys anymore. Boom, we got our
Yeah.
new enemy. There's gonna be Buzz Lightyears, like a bunch of rogue Buzz Lightyears, like the one from Toy Story 2, and
Mhm.
they're gonna do that. I don't know. Like that is literally the main
Yeah.
thing we got. We still don't know much of how they'll even
Yeah,
execute
well, we
this
know a
main
couple
theme.
bits of info that are interesting. One of them is that they're gonna be there's like I think like some sort of like robot buzz or something they teased, which is funny because just every single Toy Story sequel wants to recapture the magic of Toy Story One buzz, so they have to keep putting in new things to fill that. Toy Story 2 had regular factory mode buzz. Toy Story 3 had Spanish buzz, which was also like normal like factory buzz. Toy Story 4 had his fucking conscience or whatever, which doesn't work as well because it's the same buzz, but regardless, it's still trying to bring back the old naive buzz. And now they're doing that with robots, so fucking cool, I
Yeah.
guess. And also, fucking, like, I guess my last note is Andrew Stanton is the director of this one,
Oh yeah,
Finding
the guy
Nemo.
who got us Wally and Finding Nemo,
Yeah,
two
yeah,
of some of the
Wally.
best
I don't know.
Pixar
I didn't bring them
movies.
up. That's more apparent. The one reason I bring also John Carter. I don't know anyone who cares about that movie, but if you've got any John Carter stands in the audience, let me know. But
I know
but
nothing about that
point
movie
is,
other than it was like a huge box office bomb.
yeah, yeah. Um, but point is, what I will say is the reason that that director stood out to me specifically is because when Toy Story 4 was coming out, he said this chorus like, I think he did it, but when he's like telling this thing about how Toy Story 4 is the conclusion of and the Toy Story 3 is the conclusion of an Andy story, not Woody's, as to like justify Toy Story 4 existing. And I disagree with that because Andy barely has any character throughout the trilogy. They're all about Woody, my guy. But point is, he's saying that about that, and now he's directing Toy Story 5. So we can be like, oh no, Toy Story 5 wasn't the end of
Yeah,
Woody's story.
that's kind
Yeah,
of stupid. Even that,
like,
like,
how much are you gonna push the goalpost, Stanton? Like, come on,
yeah,
just be
exactly.
honest.
Even then, the whole thing with the Andy thing, like, it was just kind of the end to his journey, and therefore, like, Woody was kind of tied to that. So it's still
Yeah,
like kind of
exactly.
a dumb,
Woody's and Andy's
yeah.
stories are directly connected. That's the whole thing
That
of
was
it.
the whole point, so it's not
Yeah,
the best
exactly.
excuse at all. And now he's
Yeah,
like, and
exactly.
now he's going against that with Toy Story 5. Okay, so you see, what the Woody's thing may have been concluded, but you know, but Buzz's story wasn't
Woody's arc
concluded.
is concluded, but I guess he's back in Bonnie's anyway.
I don't know.
So
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with that. I'm curious. I am curious. I'll probably be watching it regardless of it being a fifth Toy Story, but whatever.
Mm,
Anyways, yeah, that shitty looking Mufasa movie got another trailer, and I'll say this: it's got
mhm,
some expression going on. Like it actually, like the characters emote a little bit. It doesn't look great or anything. Like it still looks a little weird because animals aren't supposed to really. I don't know. It looks a bit off, but it's
mhm.
definitely a step above the original remake. I don't know. It looks.
Definitely feels weird in a lot of areas still. Because the thing is, I this could fumble. Maybe it's gonna fumble anyway. Because the thing is, Lion King 2019 is awful in every way, but it's like has like a base to go off of. So it's more like it's failing because it's adapting a shitty story horribly. But this new one, they gotta make up a bunch of shit. It's gonna be really lame. I really like how that's gonna go. So I don't. I know they're just gonna bullshit a lot. They'll probably like tie in like lines and stuff
Yeah,
from
something
like
like that, I
the
imagine. Like kind
the
of do
first
stuff
movie
like
in ways that I know they're gonna do that, and it'll be like I'm gonna hate it.
what
But
just say
the
you
whole
cut
thing
off
is
for a
it's
second.
kind of funny. Oh, I was gonna say it's just gonna seem really lame overall, like that whole section of thing. It's the fucking thing where like, oh, this explains this. Like that's what I hate in prequels.
Yo, we're gonna
Makes
find out
sense.
how Scar got his scar.
Yeah, they're gonna do shit like that. It's gonna be really
Yeah, we're
lame.
definitely gonna
And
get that, let's be honest. Like
yeah,
it'd be surprising if we don't get that.
hmm yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have much to say on that except that it's lame, and I really
It'd
don't
be funny if
want
it
any
like
of
I don't
it.
know, like I'm unsure like how well this would do thinking about it a bit more, but like it could
Mm,
do well because it is the Lion King in the name, but whatever. We'll see
yeah,
how
I know.
that.
We'll
I'm a
see.
bit
We'll see.
curious to see if it's either gonna do really well or just like disappoint beyond like,
It depends because the thing that on you don't gotta underestimate the fucking huge population that still sees these. The whole like moms, they're definitely dragging their kids to this. The whole thing of like people are like, oh, I love this like
that
stuff.
is
Because
a
the thing
big
is,
audience right there.
it's a big audience, and I'm hoping that Mufasa could break the streak. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath. If it breaks 1 billion, I will not be shocked. I used to be really emo about that, but my whole thing is just don't give the movie attention. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna watch it, but just keep your distance and
I'm a
go
little
see the
bit
movie that
curious about
it's
it, but
competing
like
against.
I don't know, I might watch it. I'm
Yep.
still thinking that over because I'm a bit curious because it's like a whole original prequel thing. They got to rely on a different story, so I'm curious to see where that would go. But yeah, I'm not
I,
gonna. What I think I'll probably not. I will confidently say I probably won't be watching is the Snow White remake trailer that everyone's been making fun of.
oh,
Uh,
I didn't even watch the trailer. I just know it looks
yeah,
stupid.
yeah. I
Snow
saw
White
I
feels especially insulting compared to other remakes, since taking the first animated movie ever made and then
and
giving
make
that
it
the oh you
not
can make it a live
animated is kind
action
of
though
gonna make it
treatment.
like lose a lot of its like,
You're
you know,
literally defeating the point. So pointless. It looks like it's gonna be really bad.
yeah.
Uh,
I guess
I
one
don't.
last main thing is we got the design look of Stitch in the Lilo and Stitch remake, and it
Ooh,
doesn't look
yeah.
that terrible. I guess it's kind of what's like one might expect him to look like, I guess. I still don't
The
think
whole
it.
thing the whole thing of Stitch, right, is and Lilo and Stitch is one of those things that you gotta have this balance where he would look weird to people in the movie, but you're not put off with him as an audience member. He looks endearing enough that you can be like, oh, look how cute he is, and also that he's like, oh, cool alien, but he's also like adorable. That's what makes Lilo and Stitch work so well. If he was like a loon looking, you couldn't sell that bond with Lilo at all. And wow,
Mhm.
when he looks like that, that's not gonna sell that bond with
I
Lilo
don't know.
at all.
He looks like
That
he doesn't look that bad, I guess. It's not like
mm.
hideous. It's like but I don't know. It's just in general, just the whole concept of this movie. I'm more if anything, I'm more scared to see what Jumba and Pleakley are gonna look like
Oh,
than
those are gonna
rather than
look
Stitch.
terrible based off them,
Yeah.
especially since they already like are kind of made to look more purposely weird. So them in that style is
Yeah.
just
Like Stitch I could understand
it's
they'd also
not.
put like more of the budget in since he's gonna be like, the main thing marketing the movie. He's gonna be like in the movie
Yeah.
more probably. I don't know. They'll probably slap in a whole other hour for this and throw in a bunch of
Oh, definitely.
nonsense.
Because despite being the same movies, they're always an hour longer. It's the
Yeah,
whole
and
thing.
yet we somehow get like, even though it feels like the same amount of shit usually happens, just done in a worse way. So,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Matt Braley, my goat, tweeted, "God has left us,"
damn.
after the trailer dropped, and honestly, he's so legendary for that. Like, God bless you, Matt. Despite working on Disney, he's not been holding back the bitching, and I really respect that. It's another reason why love you, Matt. But yeah, I think that's like in terms of gay live action remake, and just that's all I think we
Yeah,
got.
that's enough for
Uh
D23, but we did get the Sonic 3 trailer finally.
yeah.
Took till like
You know,
near
we should
the
have said
end of this
Mufasa last
for
because I had a really good transition into that. I was like, we should watch the other movie coming out
oh
that day,
yeah, that's coming.
Sonic 3 trailer. Pretend I said that. But Sonic 3 trailer, I want to keep it brief because I'm sure a lot of what I'm going to say in the
We'll
trailer, I'll
say
probably
in
say,
the
yeah, when
episode we
Sonic
will
3
eventually do
actually
on it.
comes
Yeah.
out. What I will say though is just a quick rundown of all my thoughts. Just gonna do some bullet points out loud here. So on Keanu.
I think
What
he's good. I think he fits the role well. I
I don't
think
know.
it's like
It
it's
feels
pretty
like it's
cool.
not even just that he's doing his normal voice. I just don't feel a lot of enthusiasm from the performance.
I
Like I
mean,
don't know.
to
I
be
feel
fair,
like
we've only seen like 3 lines from
yeah, no,
him.
I'm just going off what we've seen. He could do better in the
I
movie. I'm
think he
willing to
seems
give
like he's
that
doing
fair.
good. I don't know. I feel like his
Yeah,
regular voice is just gonna fit Shadow. That's the reason
I
everybody
don't
wanted
know.
him to play him.
I give the Sonic movies credit for that. Like I said in the Knuckles episode, I believe, they do it in ways that like even though they're celebrity castings, they still fit the characters well. And even though they're not exactly like the character, we got for good versions. Like Ben Schwartz, I love his Sonic. Idris Alba, I love his Knuckles. Tails is actually just Tails' actual VA. But
Yeah.
Carrey, I love Jim Carrey's Jim Eggman. Uh, and then the whole thing, Keanu could join those ranks. We'll see. But out of my whole thing from the trailer is so on some of the humor, but I can't lie. After Knuckles, I've kind of come to expect that. Uh, and some of it was kind of corny, but with Shadow, I like that they're teasing a dark tone. You kind of got to do that for the Shadow stuff.
Yeah, a lot of
Seems
dark
very interesting. I'm
potential
excited to
dark
see where it
tone
goes.
shifts in
And
this one. I think it's gonna
yeah,
take itself more seriously this time around.
yeah. The
So,
only thing that I will say that makes me nervous is it's kind of a blessing and a curse. But in the trailer, the last bit is they tease Gerald Robotnik, who is also played by Jim Carrey. He's doing like that classic studio comedy trope, which actually ties into the episode with Austin Powers. So I guess I'll get into
oh
that in a
yeah.
bit. The point is, yeah, Jim Carrey's playing both himself as Eggman again and Gerald Robotnik. And if you don't know, for you non-Sonic heads who are watching this, probably Josh, you know what a Sonic is. Hi, but point is, he was in Sonic Adventure 2 as Eggman's like grandfather, not father. I don't think. The point is, his whole thing is the after Maria gets like shot or everything, he goes insane and he gets revenge, and his revenge is making the Ark and like the ultimate life form, like that whole thing, and that
Mhm.
was the whole thing of SA2. The whole thing is gonna destroy Earth, and Sonic and Shadow got to team up to stop the whole thing. It's one of the darkest things in a Sonic game because they play, despite how goofy those are, they play him being insane straight, and in this, he's like a Jim Carrey comedy character. So I don't even mind the change in tone because I think the clip we saw is very funny. They're back and forth. Haba in the shaggy flesh. It's funny. I don't know if they're gonna want to do more serious stuff. I don't think Jim Carrey being wacky will work. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's gonna
We'll
just
see how the tone of this goes. Let's hope
we'll
it's not a
see.
huge
I'm That's
issue,
my main
but
stipulation. I'm worried about tonal
yeah.
inconsistency, but
I'm gonna be
we'll see
honest, this
how that
seems like the
goes.
type of movie where I can kind of see that happening, even though I'm
Yeah, that's my whole thing.
probably confirmed to at least enjoy it for that type of stuff, just based
Oh,
off
my
of like
brother gonna
the
love this
charm I
movie. It's
have,
one of my
the
most
big
hyped
charm
for
in
the rest of the
With the
year.
Sonic
But
movie
it's
stones.
certainly gonna be interesting. Stay tuned for our Sonic movies episode. That's gonna be
That's gonna be fun. That's
really,
gonna be a
really
fun one. We'll see how that one goes. Uh, Anyways,
And
yeah,
yeah,
every shot
yeah.
with Shadow in the trailer though was genuinely really cool to see. So that
I
was
love
cool.
that shot where he's actually being badass and shit. Like that's gonna be dope as hell, I think.
Yeah,
One thing I do hope though is I hope it's not the same thing that 2 did with Knuckles, where they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
Shadow can live with all the humans, yeah," even though he's like a murderer of people, and they're already teaming up with Eggman, which he'll probably betray them or do something that's a common Eggman trope. It's like what happened in Sonic Lost World.
oh yeah.
So that's the whole thing. But yeah,
Anyways, yeah,
yeah.
that's yeah, two more brief things. One thing is, there's a lot of shit with Mr. Beast,
Mr. Beast.
yeah, the stuff with that was like, I don't know, like his friend was outed as a pedophile, and then from there it was like, oh no, like everyone was
I didn't
convicting
like
him
that because
from,
people use that as an excuse to be transphobic because it's like because it
yeah,
was Chris Tyson who that was her name, right?
yeah,
I hope
Ava Chris
I don't
Tyson, who is
yeah, Chris
a
Tyson.
pedophile,
Yeah, I don't think
rutro.
yeah, which trans woman now, and the whole people use it to be like, well, you see, trans people they are groomers, which is a weird. I'm not a fan of that whole thing. The point is, it's weird when weird to use that like one person to discriminate against an entire large group of people. Very weird. Not something I like at all. And I'm not even involved in that whole thing, but yeah. And then
Yeah,
the fucking Mr. Beast thing, I can't lie. Some of the allegations seemed really weird, like, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm too uninformed on that to give a full opinion because I just haven't kept up with it to be real. What do you think, Anthony? You probably have a
I
better
don't have much
idea.
to say. I watched a bit of those like videos that I don't know. I started watching a bit like this guy conspiring about Mr. Beast, the guy that worked for someone who worked for him, who admitted that he was like I think he was high or something. He was in a police uniform or whatever. I don't know. It was fucking weird. He said some stupid shit about that. And like I don't
Sounds
know
fucking
like how
wild.
true all of this is, but a lot of it just seems like over exaggerating shit and just blatantly stupid a lot of the time. Like just exaggerating things like, "Oh, how dare he visually enhances a hole to make it look slightly bigger in a video." Yeah, he promotes
Yeah.
gambling to children and it's fucking stupid sometimes. So like
Yeah, it seemed very silly from what I saw.
yeah, that
So,
type of stuff is
uh,
dumb, but like I don't really know the full extent. Like the stuff with like Jimmy potentially knowing that Chris was a pedophile or something. Rumors about that like thing. Like I think he might have been in the chat but might have not like said anything in it or whatever. I don't fucking know how. I kind of stopped reading into this cuz it was like it felt like there was so much of it and I don't really watch Mr. Beast that much anymore, so like yeah,
I
I
fell off him entirely, so I don't know the whole thing.
But
But
yeah, it's that I don't really know what to say about this since I haven't kept up with the whole thing, so I don't really know what's accurate and what's not. But some of the stuff I've heard have been pretty silly and dumb, but I'm not really sure how things went with that, but I know there's been a lot of Mr. Beast hate, and I'm unsure how to feel about it because I don't know what's right and what isn't, but some of it does definitely feel pretty stupid, like in different
mm,
cases and like exaggerating certain stuff in dumb ways in terms of those type of criticisms, but whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, one last thing. Another SpongeBob movie, the Plankton movie, was leaked online,
yeah.
and yeah, the entirety of the movie was leaked online again.
This one I have not watched actually. I'm curious about it because hey, Arcane season 2 leaked and a bunch of stuff all at once was going out. It's wild. I haven't watched the movie yet,
Same
like I
here.
said, so it's like I'm. It's probably still bad, but not as bad. I am curious about watching it eventually though, because Plankton is absolutely one of my favorite SpongeBob characters. Even if the
Yeah.
movie's bad, I'm sure he's given some good moments. And Doug Lawrence just always kills it as Plankton, like no matter how the material is. So that's probably good on like better on that principle, especially compared to Sandy, which just had very little redeeming qualities.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't know why I gave that movie like I was weirdly like less generous, like a little bit generous about it when I first watched it. I don't know why. Anyways,
yeah,
yeah,
it really is that bad.
indeed.
I hate
Anyways, wow, what a long news segment, I know, but we did miss a lot of stuff. So now let's
You
get
don't
into
go as far
the
on news. But
yeah, let's get into the
yeah,
movies. Today we're talking about the Austin Powers trilogy because let's be honest, it feels
ye-
like they're perfect movies to talk about on this podcast. Now that I think about it, so
yeah,
they were
they're
a good choice.
studio comedy type shit. It's I wanted to do them because it's where the Austin Powers movies aren't even that amazing, but I also just have like a really fond memories with all three of them. It's a whole thing. I think it's very interesting, all of them. So I don't know. They represent an interesting history and like time in history where movies like this could be as successful as they are, and that's what I guess I'll get into with all three of these. And but it's kind of like they're not a super in-depth movies, so it's good to use these to like transition back into a normal podcast game after the
Yeah.
huge break. So yeah, yeah.
Starting with Austin Powers, the first international man of mystery. Dropping in the 90s, the late 90s. The main star here being none other than Mike Myers from you know, just Mike Myers. You probably know him. He plays Shrek. He plays Shrek. Good old Mike Myers playing Shrek, and he's also in The Cat in the Hat. And those are the main two movies I've seen from him. Just the Shrek movies and The Cat in the Hat. So, it was interesting to see how that would go with this movie. But yeah, uh, I did enjoy my time with this first one. I've actually never seen it before, so I was interested in finally getting into this because I've been meaning to check these out for quite a while. So yeah, um, man, he's gone right now. By the way, I don't know if you noticed that. I was kind of keen on him, almost like getting into the kind of like segueing into this, maybe with like information, kind of sharing his history with it, but all right. Anyways, I guess in terms of like starting off with my thoughts on it, fellow current viewers of this podcast currently watching it right now, uh, I did like this movie. I thought it was a pretty fun movie. I did enjoy quite a bit about it. Thought it was a I didn't think it was anything particularly amazing, but I did enjoy my time as like kind of a goofy, fun little comedy with a lot of campy energy. There was a fun energy to this movie, even though it's a really horny movie, by the way. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of that, but regardless, I did enjoy a lot of those bits of humor. Uh, but man, I need. I know this usually never happens. I know this is a very weird. He's just not here. He'll be back soon. Okay. Uh, weird because like he has more of like a connection with these, so I was kind of planning on him kind of like starting this segment, kind of like showing off, kind of negotiating the discussion since he was more familiar with these movies. But now that I'm just here, I guess I'm kind of like carrying this podcast at the moment individually, you know. So yeah, this unfortunately does indeed happen sometimes. So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I did enjoy the movie. I do think there's like quite a bit to appreciate about it. I like the um I God, where to start, Anthony? It's been a while since I've done this podcast host thing, huh? Um, Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't want to steal like too much like specific discussion things, so that way like he wrote because I feel like if he comes back, he's gonna like start repeating some of the stuff that like I have already said here. So like a part of me is like kind of like unsure of how to really segue into this as a result. I don't know. Maybe he's got some behind the scenes knowledge about it too. He's usually the one that gives that all. away here, so this kind of makes this moment awkward. I know I usually don't do this. Usually when he leaves, I try and like kind of carry the discussion by myself, but I'm kind of having trouble doing that here, unfortunately. So this is kind of awkward. Let's hope he's back soon. But yeah, we're doing this trilogy today, and um, yeah, I'm happy. It's cool. It seems this is a cool. This is like I said, good, good bit of movies. You know, good bit of movies here. So glad we chose them. Anyways, the this movie, the plot of this movie. Might as well explain the plot while we're here. It follows Austin Powers, all right? Austin Powers, this guy who is incredibly horny and a bit of a ladies' man, is frozen and in the 60s. And then he unfreezes in the 90s. And now he's got to go up against himself, all Dr. Evil, who's played by Mike Myers. He kind of plays both of them. Like Matthew said earlier, there's a bit of like a, you know, he plays two different characters. Funny thing, it took me to like the second one to really realize that that Austin was playing the fuck that Mike was playing uh both Doctor Evil and Austin Powers. So he's got to go up against Doctor Evil, who is one of the most, you know, cliche like parody type mustache twirling antagonists. So he's got to go up against him, and yeah, shit happens. He teams up with this other agent as a sidekick, and he gets really horny for her, and there's a lot of like stuff going on there. Anyways, I'll stop there and we're just gonna wait till he comes back, all right? We're just gonna wait. Now I know you might be very confused and like what is Anthony yapping about, bro? Like this poor guy's just talking to himself right now. And all while he's waiting for Matthew to return to I don't know, he just said he'll be back. I don't know how long he'll be gone. He did not I don't I don't, I don't know, but I could have only carried like even if we were gonna do this, I would have only been able to carry this discussion for so long. So yeah, I don't know. This isn't the I really was like I said, I really was planning on him just just like kind of leading the way into this, maybe like talk about his experience with this, give us some trivia in that way. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, instead we got this. Oh well, I guess we might as well just keep this rolling right here since you know, should I cut this? I don't know if I should cut this. Nah, I might as well keep it in. It's probably funny at this point. Uh yeah, we're just gonna wait here. Wait here. Maybe I'll cut this part out. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this part out probably. Yeah, most likely. Second. All right. Um, hope you're enjoying the episode. Like I said, I know we spent a lot of time on that news segment, but you know, he was gone for a month, and then like while he was gone, I was just kind of thinking about the podcast. I don't know. I wasn't thinking much about the podcast. I was just kind of like enjoying my summer break usually, and that was the main thing I was doing. So yeah, that's what was going on with that. Yeah, he's taking a bit. Like I said, we'll be cutting some of this probably, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave this all in and make this episode slightly longer. And it's probably been like, how long has this been? Probably been like 5 minutes of me just trying to carry this discussion the best I could, but then I just wasn't really able to. So yeah, I did my best. I did my best. Yep, let's hope. Oh, he's back. Thank God
All
you're
right.
back.
Oh,
I've
don't
just been
talk
talking
about
to myself over here.
Oh, how long? Jesus Christ, Anthony! I was gone for like minutes. I told you we were supposed
Yeah,
to.
I know, but I just kind of spent time trying to talk to myself. I was kind of dependent. I said this like two times, but I was kind of depending on you kind of leading into this since I know you have like a, connection with this movie and stuff like that. You know more
Yeah.
about it than me, maybe some like history to kind of lean into
Are you
it.
still recording, by the way? I don't
Oh yeah,
like.
we're still recording here. We're still recording.
Oh, geez, that was. Oh, this is so unnatural to do. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
oh well.
But
It's funny.
I,
I thought it was funny.
I swear to, I swear we could like work around this quicker. But like for context, everyone, I told hold on, could you? I gotta do something real quick. Pause recording, and then he didn't, so that's funny. But maybe it's funny in the
Oh, I didn't
context of
read
the
the
episode.
pause thing. I
But point
kind of just
is,
got distracted with talking, so I didn't really read the full thing.
oh, oh, I could have. I swear to. Oh, I said this a while ago. I thought you caught that. Never mind.
Whatever. We're
Whoopsies.
keeping this all
Uh,
in. Fuck it. We're keeping this
God
all
damn
in.
it.
I don't care what
Isn't
anyone says.
I
I just
swear to God, I thought after Garfield we'd have a more like less stupid transitions.
well,
God damn it.
okay. Let's just get in. What do you have to say about Austin Powers?
Okay,
I
okay,
described the
okay. But
plot
actually, I
and
will
tried
say
my
to get
best
things
to.
back on my track. Austin Powers, I have a very funny story with,
Okay, good,
and
good. I was
see, as much as I
depending
love.
on that leading into this segment, and
Okay,
we
there
kind
you
of
go.
just
See,
left.
there you go.
So
You got your transition even after like minutes of me like fucking. I was like, I could take my time. Anthony's not recording. He was, so sorry, audience. But
oh well.
the point is, uh, Austin Powers, right? I have an interesting history with the first movie because even though I'm very gung ho on the franchise now, I used to fucking hate this movie. You might be like, well, why did you hate it? Um, take it back to the year 2020. Lockdowns are out, families are all snuggled in, and for some reason, my dad, he's like, I having a family movie night, and he decides, oh, let's watch Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Keep in mind, for context sake, I have like really young siblings with us here, and like a couple minutes in, there's that fucking scene where Vanessa's like, "I wouldn't have sex with you in a million years," and they start talking about like all this like stuff, and watching that stuff already on like with other people is kind of uncomfortable. But in the situation I was in, it was so just awkward and I wanted to die. And I because somehow there was a miscommunication and there was fucking forgot that Austin Powers' whole gimmick is that he's really horny. Somehow there was a miscommunication there.
Yeah.
And so the point is, I hate Austin Powers one, or at least I hated it at the time because of that. Literally nothing to do with the movie. It was just such an uncomfortable experience. I think they assumed that the goofy Doctor Evil portions were bigger than they were, but that's the whole thing of it. I have no idea what you said. Um, it's a pretty goofy, pretty fun first movie. I mainly like it in the sense of it represents a very specific period in, I guess, American culture where Th the first Austin Powers, it didn't do great at the box office. It was like a moderate success. It had Mike Myers attached, and it got decent like critical like response. Like so, it wasn't bad on that front. But really, how Austin Powers became a success was due to its home video market because the movie was released on VHS, and the VHS of Austin Powers word of mouth spread. It did really, really well. Everyone was buying Austin Powers, Austin Powers, Austin Powers, Austin Powers, and that's how we get something like Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, and Goldmember, and a whole fucking trilogy based on this. And it's really interesting because I feel like that sort of word of mouth mindset doesn't quite work these days anymore. The closest is something like Puss 2 that I thought wouldn't do that well, but word of mouth spread. It became one of the clay movies in 2022. But even then, the internet is kind of different with that. Things can spread quicker. Just the general thing of a movie not doing great home video, but right after getting like a second life after like theaters, it's like that thing doesn't really happen anymore, and I find that really interesting. Even more so that like a big studio comedy could be this big because I don't know if you noticed, Anthony, but like I think the last studio comedy to make it in like the top 10 box office of a year was a Ted in
Oh
2012.
wow.
That was
That's
the
funny.
that's the last yeah, exactly. That's the last studio comedy that made it that high, and even then, Ted only got that because let's be real, it was a McFarlane production, that's what boosted it. Generally, that stuff doesn't reach the top anymore just because, like, after the 2000s, there's kinda just been a death of a studio comedy, and I'll get to that more when we get to The Spy Who Shagged Me because that's, like, a more interesting one there. But yeah, Austin Powers is just kinda does I find it very interesting in that sense. What did you talk about while I was gone, Anthony?
I
I gotta
just
make
kind
sure
of
I'm not
tried to describe the plot and like I tried starting like I don't know because I didn't really know much behind the scenes information. So
yeah.
like
There's
yeah.
not like huge just behind the scenes. I know that Mike Myers loves Bond. He loves that whole thing. He was inspired by like British movies, comedy and stuff.
Mhm.
And I think just again the general idea of, oh, what if we took a guy from the British like that time and bring him in kind of came like uphold a bit. I don't know. I think the interesting thing is I don't think Myers wanted to play Doctor Evil at first. I think he was trying to get like other people on board. But then he was like, you know, it'd be funny if I did it. He wanted Jim Carrey to play Doctor Evil, which
Oh my
that'd be
God.
really
That's
interesting. I
insane.
think.
That's
Yeah,
insane to think about.
yeah, um, yeah. The only reason it didn't happen is because he was working on Liar Liar at the time, so
Oh.
that got him out of it. But it's
So
interesting.
then Mike
Like if they
Myers
didn't.
just also played Dr. Evil instead.
Yeah, exactly, which is interesting because if Mike Myers never played Doctor Evil, we may have not got, oh, Mike Myers plays Fat Bastard and Goldmember, and the whole gimmick being Mike Myers plays a lot of the central characters. Like that could have just the whole trajectory of the franchise could have gone way differently if it went down that different road. And that's something I think interestingly to think about, I guess. But beside all that history and stuff, General Bond. It's funny. This thing is billed as a James Bond spoof, but I feel like you don't really need much Bond knowledge to get most of it. And it's kind of funny actually. When they were doing Casino Royale, they did the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. I think one of them was like I forget if it was the director or someone was talking about how the reason they made those more serious is because when people think of goofy James Bond, they just think of Austin Powers. So it's
Uh
like, the,
Yeah, I
so
kind
like
of I had
Austin,
that feeling it would have taken this movie would have like tried and parody that type of stuff. Like I said, Doctor Evil is
yeah,
like
because
the most one of the most like a very overly mustache twirling villain. Like one of my
yeah,
favorite jokes
Doctor
in
Evil,
the
I think was
movie is how
yeah,
they like is
yeah,
some of
exactly,
the stuff with like him and his son like with him having a son who's just like this normal teenager and then like him
yeah,
try and relate to him in some way and also like the whole thing with like the son pointing out like how his plans are just so
mhm,
exaggerated and feel unnecessary a lot of the time, and he just tells them to shush,
yeah, exactly.
shush, and then
Yeah. See, that stuff I feel like would be lame in other contexts with the whole thing of, oh, we're pointing out the thing. Haha, isn't that stupid? But one, this is
this
not a
movie's
serious movie at
stupid.
all.
You see, I
Exactly. I
feel
don't
like
care
I
about
could
that.
excuse a lot of the stuff with this movie because the movie like isn't serious at all. So like I excuse a lot
No.
of that type of stuff in these
Yeah.
movies.
Really, yeah, exactly. On that front, I really don't care. But it's just a fun movie. It's weird. This movie is not amazing, but somehow it just like I really love it, even though it's just like pretty
I
good
think
as
the
a like
main thing, literally, Doctor Evil is a character that really steals the show for me. He's probably like the
yeah, he is so
he's like one of the
I
he's got so many
yeah.
like I don't know like the whole scene where he does like this goes to this therapy session with his
Mm.
son and then he's got to like and then he tells his like overly tragic backstory about
Yeah,
like
there's
how
a
his
yeah,
parents
when he
abandoned
describes
him,
it in so much detail, it's
like
so
such
funny.
brutal
Uh,
detail and like
and it was Carrie Fisher is like the therapist in that scene,
oh
which
I
is
know
funny.
why that's funny. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
but yeah, that whole thing is so funny. I get a lot of that. I think just comes down to Seth Green as a Scott is got to be one of
Chris
my favorite
Griffin.
characters. Yeah, literally, literally. But I love him in these like in this movie like so much because they set it up so funnily. Like Frau's mission, and she's like, "All right, we saved the clone for you while you were frozen." I assume Anthony mentioned that at the beginning.
I didn't really mention that. I just kind of mentioned what that Doctor Evil was kind of this like overly
Yeah,
exaggerated type.
okay. Yeah, but point is, yeah, he's frozen, and then he comes out, and it's like, "Oh, we got a clone for you," and the whole thing is like, "Okay, what's the trip gonna be?" What's funny is Doctor Evil looks so cartoonish, like based on like old Bond villains, and Seth Green at the time just looks like a normal guy.
Yeah, that's what makes it so
Like, okay,
funny.
yeah,
Like
but yeah,
he's
that's so
like,
fun. I love the part where he tries to get him to hug him, and he's just like waltzing away. It's so stupid. Like, come
yeah.
on, I love
In
it.
general,
And
Mike
the whole
Myers
fucking
really like brings a lot to Doctor Evil
yeah,
and just Austin Powers in general. Just like a lot of
yeah.
expression and just being incredibly exaggerated, really embodying this like this stupid like this like the roles that he's been given here, like especially the whole
Mhm.
uh the whole uh overly campy Bond villain who wants to like who like twirls
Yeah.
his mustache and stuff like that.
I think honestly the funniest thing is when he does the thing he does with his, like, finger,
Yeah,
like, puts it up against his
the
lip,
pinky
and
thing.
does the
Yeah,
eyebrow.
that's funny.
Yeah, yeah, it's so stupid.
Like yeah,
I love when he's
also
like,
how they keep like
"One."
putting so much attention to it in random scenes.
Yeah.
Like in this,
My
I'll
favorite
talk
part
about this when
yeah,
we get to the second one, but yeah.
yeah. I love it when he's like, $1 million is the thing, and
And then
then
he
he
says
does the
1 million.
sound.
It's not a lot of money in general. Like him being like in this whole modern day thing, and like him just reacting to this stuff. Like $1 million isn't actually a lot of money now. So then he just asks for like a stupid amount of money.
Yeah. What's interesting is I feel like this type of thing is a concept they would do now. Like the whole concept of Austin's arc is he's in the 60s, right? He's living it up, and this movie is one of the greatest film openings of all time.
Yeah,
The
I
when
like
when
I
when
really
the
like
song
the
kicks
music in the
yeah,
opening.
Soul Bossa Nova, I think it's called. It's a fantastic song, and just playing it at the it's so fun. It's like a parody of the opening of A Hard Day's Night, the Beatles movie, High Shadow.
Yeah,
But
it's got a lot of
the
like
point is,
I like the quite a bit of charm to this opening. Like I like just how
yeah, it's so
frantic
fun.
everything is. I
Yeah,
like
just
how
running around,
yeah, he
and
runs
it's
into a
it,
corner at some point and then he comes
yeah,
and a bunch of women chase him that he comes back with like a
yeah.
marching band or whatever.
By the way, they never say this joke in universe, but I think it's like it's the implied thing that the whole Austin Powers franchise is based off. Is everyone's like, "Oh, Austin's so hot. He's this Riz magnet," and his look is the most like conventional, like British nerd. Like he's got the overdone glasses, like the stuck out teeth. The goofy eye like that what like white like I don't even know what you call that, but like white thing sticking out. His style is not it at all, but for some reason everyone loves that. That like I think is like another joke they build onto it with that. It's fun. I think it's very stupid in that sense. But you know what? It's a good time. It's a good time. I love that whole thing. I think a lot of it's weird. Unlike a lot of comedies, where I'm like totally like 100% like a lot of my favorite comedies I talk about like speed of gags and how quickly stuff rattles off. Austin Powers is not really like that in the sense of it's very more like traditional studio comedy based. Where if you know these type of movies, they'll like set up like a big set piece and they'll like riff on that for a little bit, and it's less quick cut. Um, it's not a bad thing because this movie's still very funny, and if anything, it leads to it having a lot of memorable sequences. But it's kind of the same thing where it's like that's not. I think that's the reason why the movie's not super high up for me because I'm not like dying laugh out loud every second.
I
It's
don't
a
think
lot
it's
more
like I
casual,
don't
a
know.
lot
There's like
less
more
like.
comedies I
Mhm,
personally enjoy a bit more, but I
mhm.
don't know.
It's really
It's just a
a
fun
style
movie
thing.
mainly.
Yeah, it's really just a style thing, like in terms of joke telling,
Yeah,
and I
same
like the
here. But there's like
But
I don't
yeah,
know, like every scene with Doctor Evil is definitely like, the highlight,
mhm,
especially the stuff with his son is like really funny. It's
I
really
love
funny.
I love how palpable Scott's frustration is. Like, why don't you just shoot him?
We
We'll
should
shoot him with
shoot
you.
him.
He's got the gun. Literally like shark thing. It's very
Yeah, he does
silly. I
this
love
like I
that.
love how he just like goes with these overly complicated plans, which is something like a lot of like it's kind of making fun of this whole thing in these like spy movies where like the villain's always doing this like thing like luring like the characters into sharks or whatever instead of like making it simple. But like just
Yeah.
it's funny how
It,
much Doctor Evil relishes in being evil. So
mhm. It's so just perfectly silly. I absolutely
yeah, in terms of like,
love it.
I don't know, the whole penis enlarger guy and how they try to like put as
I
much
yeah.
emphasis on the thing as possible is pretty funny.
I call it at the top because it's one of my favorite gags. Because it's like it's so silly in the sense of like, first of um, all these things lining up at once. It's already a stupid comedic thing. But I think more specifically is you have to get into the logistics of why did Austin write that book? You don't really get it ever, but it's really interesting. Why did Austin write a book called Swedish Penis Enlarger Pumps in Me? This sort of thing is my bag, baby. Like, what does that even mean? Like, that's so silly. But you know what? It's fun. So you don't question. It's like it's fun to question that stuff. It's very funny. Uh, a lot of my like I think favorite gags just come from admittedly very lowbrow stuff, but I don't know. Again, this type of studio comedy I think appeals to me in that sense. There's one joke that really stands out, even though it kind of sucks when he's on the toilet and he's pushing the guy down, and the guy thinks he's taking a really big shit. So he's like, "Okay, go on, like, the bit I'm talking about, Anthony.
Oh
That's take."
yeah.
It's so like it's so lowbrow, but I kind of dig
Yeah, so
that.
I don't know, there's just something about like the delivery from like a visual point of view that I just find, funny in that
Yeah,
way.
yeah, it's definitely funny in that sense.
Yeah,
I
and
really fuck with that. The whole the whole thing that follows after of like actually the one line that really gets to me is it's so stupid where he goes, "I like to allow myself to introduce myself." Like, okay, bro. It's such a like he says one off, but I love that he like fucking stumps himself there. That's funny. The the whole thing is I don't know some of the puns in this one, I'm not like, yeah, it's very like lowbrow. I was like, oh, her name is Vagina. Whoa, we're so
they do
crass.
like a
They
similar
continue
joke
this,
to that in Goldmember,
but
yeah.
yeah, I kind of like the one in Goldmember better, but we'll get to that. That's a whole thing.
Yeah. I
Uh,
guess I like how I noticed how like they just sometimes cut to random shots of Austin Power occasionally, like when transitioning between certain scenes at parts. I think there's
mm,
something like charming
I
about
love
that.
those. It's so out of pocket, like cause brr, 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 brr,
It's
na,
like the
na, na,
pause
na. I love
between
that
like a
transition.
commercial break inserted in like a
Literally, but it's in like an actual movie. I don't know if that's parroting anything or just like they thought it'd be funny, but I like that. I think it's fun. Um, the whole thing is, I feel like this movie would be way more, at least it would feel more cringe now because that whole fucking, fish out of water angle to it, where it's like you this is the 90s, Austin. You can't be like how you were in the 60s, which is interesting. I think that'd be a whole thing they like would do now. The whole thing of Austin isn't progressive enough because I guess he's a womanizer, sleeps with a bunch of different people. Does that whole thing, which I the thing is the arc of Austin Powers one I find a little hard to take seriously now, considering the Spy Who Shagged Me completely undoes all of that like right away, which we'll get to more when I get to
That's
that movie.
true, yeah.
Like
And
Holton's
the
like,
whole like I do kind of enjoy the dynamic between Austin and like Vanessa. I think that's
yeah,
kind of like a funny little just a
yeah.
funny little back and forth thing.
They got a good back and forth. It's I like the scene that's set up as if they're having sex, but they're just playing
Playing Twitch,
Twister.
yeah,
That's so
really
stupid.
it's really fucking corny and stupid at times, but like like you said, there's like a weird charm to the way it's executed for like the
Yeah.
performances and visuals of it. I'll admit these films
Myers
have like
really sells
a nice like
it.
color palette and visual
Yeah.
style in that way.
Also, I think it's just because I like their fit. Like Austin Powers wears some W fits throughout all these movies.
Yeah, it's pretty
He
fun. It
can-
makes some of the
mm,
like sequences funnier when he's just running around in
mm.
this like you know.
Yeah, the most goofy uniform of all time. It's really stupid.
I
Yeah,
like one of
but
my
I
favorite jokes in the movie is that when Dr. Evil throws around these like two plans and one of them has him predict Prince Charles' divorce, like but like not knowing that it would happen and like having this whole like these it's like such a specifically stupid plan to have Prince Charles like ended up getting him a divorce or whatever and then that like
mm,
actually and then when he finds out that actually happened,
yeah,
they're like, you guys need to tell me these things, even though that's
yeah,
very specific to inform him of.
yeah. The whole purpose just runs down a bunch of plans. Is like, ah, fuck it, we'll just hijack some missiles again. I think that was this movie. I think,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, there we go. See, my memory of these are good, but yeah, it's fun. That whole thing, I think, it's really stupid. For me, one of the lines that really sticks with me most, I don't know why out of all of them, but one of the jokes that really gets to me is the part later in the movie where Austin's like, where Vanessa's like, "Oh, I had suspicions that you slept with this woman." He's like, "Oh yeah, I did." And for some reason, the line that really gets me is she's like, "Did you use a condom?" And then and then he goes, only sailors use condoms, baby. Like that's such a
Yeah,
stupid line. So corny. It's not in the '90s, Austin. It's fun.
hmm.
Also, this starts the trend that the Austin Powers movies love to keep up, which I like to call hiding things behind conveniently placed objects for a joke. And I phrase that as if it's not funny, but it's very funny. I love the sequence in this where Vanessa's calling her like your grandma, I think, and she's like explaining the whole thing about Austin. And in the back he's just like conveniently being covered up by everything. Um it's so stupid, that whole
Yeah.
thing, but I think it's really funny. Visual gags there, I think it's a great little bit there. I will say, like, this movie's very sweet, I think, for how stupid it is. Like, it's just nice, the whole thing about it. Like, he's learning to be committed to one person. It's a good like message, I guess, or whatever. But that whole thing of it, I don't know. It's like I feel like this might complain with a lot of studio comedies or '90s, 2000s, around this time generally, where they try to be like mostly really stupid and then they want to have a moral that you take seriously. I find these movies like charming because it has that like '90s comedy vibe. So I'm not that bothered by it. But in this first one, it's just kind of like I don't know. I take it less seriously, considering it's like I don't know. The rest of the movie
Yeah,
is
I
really
can't say I
stupid.
don't know. This movie is like not even anything I'm like too passionate about. It's like it's just a pretty good fun comedy movie with like,
Yeah.
fun performances, some cool set design, and some fun like execution of like jokes that like, are would
Mhm.
usually be lowbrow and corny, yet they're executed in a way that like just make them funnier than they, really are, if you
Mhm.
know what I mean by that.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. I got you. Again, it's weird because I really like this movie, but I can't even be like it's a masterpiece. I'm just like
Yeah, there's
it's
like I feel
fun
like
and
we've
there's
talked
like
about like better comedies on this podcast,
oh definitely like it's a solid one, but one I have a fun history with nonetheless. Because even though like I hated that first watch, rewatched them all a couple years later, they're bangers for me. I really just like the vibe of these movies because I get it. They're very lowbrow. They're very kind of like cheesy in some instances. A lot of the jokes are kind of obvious, but you know what? It just it seems like it's a good party movie. Got a good vibe to it, that whole thing,
yeah,
and really
it's
Mike
probably a fun
Myers'
movie to
character.
watch with some friends.
Yeah, exactly. Myers' thing really carries the whole movie. I think. I get a lot of his like stuff, like what he's doing, like stupid impressions and shit. When he's going off as Doctor Evil, when he's doing things as Austin, that stuff does not work nearly as well without all that. But yeah, I don't know, it's just a lot of my favorite gags in this movie are just more visuals, like when they really play into how stupid it is. Like there's one that really gets me where they're they're riding that fucking I don't even it's not a bulldog, but they're riding that big yellow thing that like runs people over. And the guy's like, no,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's like very, very far ahead. Fun fact about that scene, there was apparently a deleted scene where they I'm not even where they cut to that guy's family and they get the news and it's delivered. It's like the joke is that they play it really straight, how this guy had like a normal like family,
Oh, that sounds
and they're
kind of
just all like
funny.
genuinely sad. It does. If I can find you should try to look up that
I'm
scene if you
gonna,
can find it.
I'll
It's
try and
really
find that out later. That sounds pretty
funny.
funny.
It's really silly, but yeah, I love that bit. It's so fun, and
Yeah.
yeah, again, just also the I think is funny. They do the again another instance of conveniently placed things covering up genitalia, and
Oh yeah, that
I
whole
love
thing
it the more
when they just
specific
like
it
try
gets.
and cover
Like
it in the most blatant way possible. Like near,
exactly, it's
yeah,
so
it's
silly.
so stupid, but so funny.
By the way, do you think Mike Myers actually made his chest hair look like a penis, or was that just
I
does that? You think CGI did that?
I don't know.
You think he kept it between movies, like had to
I don't know
keep
how that
the
whole
chest
thing
hair?
worked. I really didn't look much into the behind the scenes. Sometimes I just assume that you usually do that since that's always usually been your
Oh,
thing, I've
well,
noticed.
you're lucky in this instance because I have done that, so
Yeah.
you're you're good. But
Anyways, yeah, that's literally one of the
mhm.
main things. I don't know. Anything else you want to say about this movie?
Honestly, I don't have much more. These movies, I guess bear with us. These movies might not be huge
It's not gonna
discussions
be like
after
the
because it's
longest episode, but like look at the past Campy Cast episodes recently. They've been pretty damn long,
yeah,
all right? We need a bit of a break here.
yeah. Yeah, plus, we did a lot of news this week. Get off our
That's true.
backs.
You got some new
The only,
stuff,
the only
so
thing,
some lighter
mhm,
movies this
yeah,
time around to kind of just lay
mhm,
back and laugh at some simple pieces
yeah,
of comedy.
yeah. We're giving you a simple one for the people who watch all the movies. So our local viewers at home know who I'm referring to. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. The only thing I'll bring up left is I think the gag where they call back to the Swedish penis enlarger pump as the final scene of the movie is really stupid, but I kind of fought with that. Also, I really like the choice not to show Dr. Evil's face for a while so that you don't know that it's Mike Myers playing both of them until you cut to the future. I think that's a really cool, like, purposeful choice. I think that's fun. And yeah, I assume anything else I would say you might have just brought up at the beginning. Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Love that long title, by the way. Is a solid, feeling a light to strong 7 on this one.
Same here.
Um,
Yeah,
the strong 7.
pretty good movie. As for the
Mhm.
sequel, we have
All right, now
here
Spy
Austin
Who Shagged.
Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
All right, now this one, we're back again. Uh, the thing that, again, like I talked about, like in the Austin Powers 1 segment, again, a lot of that came from the big success of International Man of Mystery at Home Video. They're like, all right, let's do another one. And the thing I really want to highlight with Spy Who Shagged Me is the thing is, Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me came out in 1999. And that year, if you don't know, 1999 has a billion like really big movies in terms of just like success, like Matrix, Toy Story 2, Phantom Menace, Sixth Sense, Blair Witch, South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, which we talked about, Green Mile, American Movie. I'm trying to think of the Mummy, and so on and so forth. I could keep going. Because 1999 is one of the biggest years for. Oh, and Fight Club. That's the other big one I was thinking of. But it's huge year for big movies. And in the midst of this all, in the midst of big blockbusters, then Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, was, if we're going by this, in the top 10 highest grossing movies of 1999. I believe it's like if I'm going by if I'm going by domestic box office, it was number 3. It is 2 spots below The Phantom Menace and The Sixth Sense, and it is
That is
above Toy
crazy.
Story 2 and The Matrix.
It's
I
a it did
highlight
it
this
made
fact
more
because it
than
is,
the Matrix.
yeah, more than The Matrix and Toy Story 2 at the domestic box
That's
office. And I
crazy.
highlight it because it is so insane to me that at one point, a studio comedy like this could make it up there as one of the biggest movies just in the world. Like, is that not insane to think about?
That is
I
insane.
think about that for- and just so interesting because really, I'll get to this more of Goldmember, but you don't really see that anymore. Studio comedies, in this sense, are kind of dead, like I talked about. So it's
Mhm.
like it's so wild that The Spy Who Shagged Me was able to get that high. It's really interesting to me on that sense, and it's also my favorite Austin Powers because I think it just keeps up
I
the
think it's like
keeps up
I
my
can't tell. I don't know. Like this one and the second one, it's like it's around the same level of quality for me, and I can't really tell at the moment which one I like more, to be honest. So
hmm
yeah, I'm having a
yeah
hard time with that, but like regardless, it is still a worthy sequel and
yeah
keeps up a lot of the charm I liked by adding, but also adding like some new gags and elements to mix things up.
yeah.
But first things, like you said, this movie kind of like undoes like the whole thing with the first film, like kind of just, so basically, apparently Austin Powers' girlfriend Vanessa was a robot, a fembot.
Fembot,
Oh yeah, which is a thing
um,
that that
I
whole sequence in the
absolutely
last movie was
yeah.
pretty funny,
What
by
I
the
will
way.
say is all three Austin Powers movies, I think, have absolutely iconic openings because the first one's great. This Bioshock Me has one of my favorite openings of all time. Slightly exaggerated there, but the only thing that's kind of dates it is the Star Wars opening crawl joke very much makes okay, this was the summer of 1999 because they did a lot of stuff kind of spoofing Star Wars because the Phantom Menace was the same summer and they were trying to like ride the coattails off that. There's that joke and there's this ad where it's like this summer see like a big like it's like talking about like see like a big thing and the joke is they make it look like it's Darth Vader and they cut to the chair and it's Doctor Evil. I think there was one ad, I forget. I this is a comment or something. This one thing where it's like, if you need to see one movie this summer, see Star Wars, but then see Austin Powers.
Oh yeah,
I
I
forget
think
if
I've
it's
heard that. I've heard of that before.
yeah,
Yeah, I've heard that joke.
because that's funny. I think even they knew that Phantom
Even
Menace
though
was one
they
of
knew
them.
that Star Wars was gonna make more money, so they just like,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
played that up a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Anyways,
funny.
yeah,
But
this
yeah,
was
point back on that. It's just I think it on one hand, it's annoying because they kind of just like undo the impact of the first one. It doesn't even make sense. Like, why would she have this history and all of a sudden
it
she was
doesn't
just a
the
robot?
robot twist
But,
doesn't make much sense, but
yeah,
like
and
at the same
also, how
time,
does she like not like? Also, how would she be a robot yet never show any of those tendencies before? But counterpoint. This is an Austin Powers
Yeah,
movie. I
exactly. That's
really
like
don't
the
care.
main reason I was like, what? That doesn't make any
It's
fucking
so
sense. But like,
stupid that I'm like, at this point, the movie just kind of wants you to go along for the ride because she's like. Vanessa, for the one taught me the beauty of monogamy, was a fembot.
and
Hey,
then he
wait a
celebrates
tick.
that he's
I'm
single, and that leads to
single.
the stupid
And then he
opening
runs
where
out, and
like
it's so stupid. This is the peak of the Austin Powers gag of covering things up with conveniently placed objects.
and that is
And
the whole
honestly, I
opening of the
roll with the
fucking
whole
movie.
it is such a stupid opening. They continue this whole gag. He's running around naked, this hotel. He's going around. I love how specific it is, and somehow he like for some reason he makes sound effects, this stuff as if his dick is getting hurt, even if it makes no sense. Like
Yeah.
someone he's like, I love the part where he's running by the table. He's like, rabbis, nice meat, and then going around, and all the stuff is so conveniently placed. It's so silly, but it perfectly kind of shows like what the Spy Who Shagged Me is because it's like, look, we're another stupid Austin Powers movie. We're gonna double down on the silly stuff from the first one. We're never gonna be as because there's like another arc of this one with the new uh love interest.
What's her name again?
Not, not, I fuck. I'm so embarrassed. This is so embarrassing. I shouldn't be blanking on that. Vanessa. That was her.
Felicity. Felicity. I
Felicity,
remember now.
Felicity. I'm blank. Sorry. The thing is, I can't lie. The love interest in all these movies are kind of bland. I can't lie.
Like
Like they're fun.
they work and play off Austin well, but yeah, I kind of agree
They
with
fit
that.
into their roles. I think especially because it's more of a there's less of a back and forth with that with in terms of that and more so just was like, oh yeah, I love Austin. And she's like, I wanted to be you, but I don't
Yeah,
want
there's
to
more of
be
a
with you. That was
genuinely
like,
like love connection between these two in this
yeah,
movie.
I think it's a little it's a little corny, but I can buy it. It's fine for what it is. The movie doesn't devote too much time to it after. The only thing I don't really like is the part where like Austin's like, "Yeah, Felicity, I'm sorry, I can't shag you," and then she's like, and then he's like, "Oh no, it's because I lost my mojo, bro. I didn't hate you. You're a shag." We're like, okay, it's weird to me to have that, and then they're just gonna like undo it the next scene. What's the point of even having like, a part where they split up? Austin drives off and they're sad. Yeah, I thought that was kind of pointless. But you know what? It's a fun movie. I like the whole thing of it. I love how stupid the abstract concept of losing your mojo is, because what does
Yeah.
that even mean?
I don't know. They
Like
don't
what
they
is
like they say it in such like a weird way a lot of the time. Like basically the plot of
mm,
this is that Doctor Evil goes back in time to steal Austin Powers' mojo instead of, instead of killing him with a gun, which, his bright son points him out on, but he just tells him
mhm,
to shush.
yeah.
Um but
You go, Scott.
yeah, so he
He's so
steals his mojo and it's the fact that that's like such an important thing is so fucking funny. And then it's like, and then he takes it, and then he immediately him rizzes up one of the I don't know, one of the people
mhm,
that works for what is it, Fra? Yeah, her. And then
mhm.
like now he's like a bit of a more ladies' man like Austin. So I guess it means like his mojo, as in I guess the thing that makes Austin Powers, but he still kind of acts
Yeah,
the
I
same way.
really don't
So I don't know. It's
understand
funny.
how that works.
It's still
It's
funny.
so
Okay,
weird.
it's like it's
It
bizarre,
I
but
don't mind, that doesn't make sense, but okay, no, my favorite part is um, when he comes out, he's like it's so stupid, he's like, I guess in the middle of sex, he's like, "Crikey,
I
I
lost
lost
my
my mojo,"
mojo.
and it doesn't even really we don't even know what that means because he clearly can still riz people up, he does it in the movie, so it's like but I guess it's like, "Oh, well, I guess the true mojo was the friends we made along the way."
Yeah, that's what he
That was
get.
my
That's what he
now deleted
learns by the
letter.
end of the movie, I guess.
Yeah. I deleted most of my cringe letterbox reviews, but that one kind of holds up high key, low key, mid key. So that's fun. But yeah, I don't know. Thing is, there's also like that. This movie they can't. A lot of the jokes the first movie does they can't really do anymore because like oh we're in the past. There's no like whoa can you believe it's different than that. Instead they do jokes, but oh wow the past is different I guess. Because my favorite one is they're like, "Oh, wow, number 2 looks so different," and they cut the fucking Frau Farbissina, and she looks the exact same,
Oh yeah,
and they're
speaking
like,
of the
"Oh,
number two thing, it was a funny gag in the first one where like he basically almost burns to death with the whole that whole gag in general in the first movie with him like with Austin with Doctor Evil just kind of like burning his I guess the people who work for
mhm,
him like that for who question him was pretty funny.
yeah, it's fun."
Some of the jokes
I like
I liked how one of the first things we see is that Scott Scott goes on like this channel about like bad
oh,
fathers or whatever, and then one of like
Jerry
about like
Jerry Springer.
yeah, and then he goes on this channel and then talks about Doctor Evil, and then beside him you got someone who's dressed as a KKK member and a Nazi just
Mhm.
like sitting right beside
Yeah, yeah,
him.
it's so
Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
fucking
but,
funny
like,
gag.
for context of that joke, I don't know if I'm sure do you not know who Jerry Springer is? I'm sure it's,
I
like, long
I don't really
overdue.
know who he is.
Yeah, okay. But point is, the whole joke of that is Jerry Springer used to be this talk show where he would like his whole it was kind of like a ratings poll where he tried to like do these really exaggerated things where they bring on like people claiming to be weird things. Like they'd bring like family members together that had like weird history, people who claimed to be just like insane things for just attention. And to parody that in this movie, it's doing that exact thing but with Dr. Evil and Scott. And that's why there's like the Nazi and the KKK member, because it's exaggerated a little bit, but they would genuinely just have insane people on his show all the time. Which I think that makes that joke even funnier if you know that. But regardless, it's still so good. I love when Dr. Evil just fucking freaks on him. It just destroys the guy. It's so funny. I
Yeah,
love it, and his
yeah.
gang stuff. It's
In
so good.
general, the best, like one of the funniest gags in this movie is the inclusion of another like clone made of Doctor Evil, who he calls Mini
Yeah.
Me, who just
Oh
follows
my
him
god, I love
around and he treats him like a baby throughout the whole movie. And
it's
I,
so funny how Mini Me gets like I love the Mini Me Scott dynamic where he's just like, why do you like the fucking baby more than me? It's so
yeah,
funny.
the random baby,
This
he
does
only likes him more because he's more committed to being evil.
Yeah, exactly. He also does drop, I will say, the most iconic song in the movie, Dr. Evil's performance of Just the Two of
Oh,
Us.
what a yeah,
It, it,
amazing,
it
amazing sequence right there.
yeah, I know that more than I know the original song, which is very funny, but Scott rejected me. Say la vie. Life is fear, treat you unfairly. Even so, God, there must
It
be
just comes out
many,
of
many.
nowhere.
It,
So fucking
it's
funny.
so sudden, but I think another thing, it does, I think, appeal to that same sort of studio comedy thing. Where there's not a lot of like quick rapid fires, but there's a lot of just quick one. There's a lot of big scenes that really get the highlights and are like really memorable for
Yeah,
me. And
man.
just that was that's why I like the opening, the Jerry Springer bit, the just the two of us bit. Um, one thing I did like is I didn't mention him with the first movie, but I love the bit with Will Ferrell's character in this, where for some reason he answers everything after threes, and you have to just
Oh
beg
my
him three
God, I
times.
forgot about that. That was so funny.
Yeah, yeah. You
And
just
then
like
he's got a, and then they
immediately,
got like it's such an awkward way to interrogate someone, and I think they executed that well.
yeah, yeah, it's so stupid. Also there's another gag that they really try to push in these movies, where basically someone will die, and Austin will go, I guess blank and it'll be a pun and they do like a three on that. It happens in the first movie when they like the sharks attack them, and then it happens twice in this movie. Once when Will Ferrell's character like crashes, and another time when like the one of the guards goes into the fire and he makes fire puns. I do like Will Ferrell's character being there though, because Mike Myers was known for SNL before he got into movies. Wayne's World was an SNL sketch until those became movies. I'd recommend those, by the way. They're like around the same quality as like the first two Austin Powers. So they're not amazing, but they're good times. And then Will Ferrell, around this time, he was a later SNL person doing. He was like the late '90s run after like I like Sandler and a lot Phil Hartman, a lot of the early '90s people love. So the point is, it's kind of cool. I guess I take it as sort of a passing of the torch thing, even if it's probably just coincidental. Will Ferrell was still at SNL at this time. The point is, it's cool that like that's another thing actually. SNL used to always kickstart big comedies. Like you'd get a career on SNL and then you'd do big movies. It happened with Adam Sandler, happened with Mike Myers, happened with Dan Aykroyd, happened with like Chevy Chase, et cetera, et cetera. That's how Mike Myers did this, and you just don't see that anymore because no one talks about SNL, so there's no comedies to rewatch anymore.
Mm.
Sad, just I thought into the topic there. But yeah, it's again just a lot of specific scenes get real highlights for me. I like the part where it's hit Austin trying to do the fucking massage, but he can't be horny, and he's like, "Can you go lower?" And he does like a really like low pitched tone. That's such a stupid joke, but it
It's
got me.
fucking stupid. I guess one of my
Ooh.
favorite like subtle gags here is the fact that Doctor Evil's like big volcano base is just him doing the thing with his pinky that he loves doing.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like
It's
I
those,
don't know
yeah,
why
it is.
it's
It's
so
funny. Also, like the click,
yeah.
the click prediction in the opening with the remote. I don't know if
Oh
you
wow.
remember that. That
Yeah.
was it. That was I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a fun
Also,
reference.
they'd like to pull a little bit of a looper here and go. Austin Power tries to question the time travel logic, and Basil who I didn't mention yet, but his name is literally Basil
Exposition, yeah,
Exposition.
just because he's the
So,
guy who's gotta give all the exposition,
yeah,
and his main
which I
purpose
think is
is just
another
to
common bond, so that works. So, but yeah, it's so funny. He's just like, just don't question it. He's like, and that goes for you at home. And then you look at the camera. I don't know. It's kind of a light, easy meta wink, but I think it's fun. It doesn't distract too much from anything. Also, big enough, big fat bastard appears here, who you may notice is just Mike Myers'
his
Shrek
Shrek
voice.
voice,
He
yeah,
really
that is
works
literally it's just his
out.
Scottish it's a Scottish accent, it's Mike Myers, so it's gonna sound like Shrek. And then it's
Yeah,
literally just his voice. It's literally just Shrek. He says many lines just as Shrek did. He even says donkey in one sentence, I recall him saying. So like,
he
it's
does. Yeah,
yeah,
mm,
and he wants to eat mini me, which is
yeah, yeah. Literally,
a very
I,
yeah, that's I don't know, he's just they exaggerate his fatness to the fullest and yeah, I don't know, he's kind of funny,
yeah.
I guess. Like the stupid fat suit visual is just with Mike Myers is like just it's just fucking funny, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh
Yeah, I think Fat Bastard is kind of a hit or miss character for
yeah,
me because I think
definitely I can
sometimes,
understand that because sometimes it's like, oh, he
yeah,
just farted. Oh no, he's
yeah,
so
so they,
fat.
a lot of it is just fat, and I don't like that as much.
That's
But
fair.
also, what I will say is it absolutely kills me when they do that fucking speech at the end where it's like, "I
Oh
eat
my fucking
because I'm
god, that
happy.
was so good.
I'm happy because I eat." It's so silly. They randomly portray his like being obese as
As like a
like a serious
serious,
like
like
thing.
as like seriously as like obesity can be treated in the real world,
Yeah,
and then like they try to have this
yeah,
like
exactly.
whole dramatic speech about it, and then like it's like out of context, like genuinely sad, but also like this whole fucking movie has been so goofy that like this moment is like played completely straight almost, only for him to be like knocked over, like.
Mhm. Yeah, also, it really kills me when they do the visual of Fat Bastard in bed and his stomach exposed is the most, like,
It's the oh
exaggerated
my
thing of all
god, yeah, the
time.
most
Mhm.
exaggerated way you can like just exaggerate a fat guy in general.
Yeah, yeah.
Another Shrek comparison, they play I'm a Believer at some point. Wasn't expecting
Yeah, yeah.
that.
I made a letterbox Shrek 4, Shrek 1, and Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me are all, Mike Myers starring movies where he plays a person with a Scottish accent, and I'm a Believer is in their soundtracks, and there is a villain who is small. Just think that's the thing to think about. Just saying. But yeah, I guess
Another gag I really like is when fuck, why do I keep saying Austin? Doctor Evil is trying to
I mean they're the
show off.
same
They're
person.
the same
Right.
person. I said this earlier, but it took me till this movie to really like to fully realize that Mike Myers was even playing Doctor Evil. Like if
Mm.
I don't know why I
I
didn't
mean,
notice
he's
that. It's
so
kind of
good. He
obvious
blends
because he's
in.
got the same face looking at it more. So I guess the makeup really
He sells the
disguised him for
character
me.
so well, truly.
Yeah, he does.
But
He does play the character really well. So like,
yeah,
yeah, the
I love
joke where he like tries to fire the laser at like tries
it.
to show off the firing of the laser to the
Mm-hmm.
frickin' to the just the state of the world, and then it just shows a clip from Independence Day. That was pretty funny.
Hmm. I remember that, like, it was like that was just a clip from Independence Day, what it would look like. And then they do the opposite joke where the trilogy kind of has this problem where this is a general studio comedy thing where the first movie will set up a bunch of jokes and the sequels would just do repeated versions of the jokes
I'm
again
fine with
and
this
again.
sometimes if it's like a small little thing, like the repeat of the classic shush gag from the first movie. But I can
Mm,
understand it can get a bit tiring sometimes, and like at times it
yeah.
can get close to being a bit
It can
overused.
depend on the moment. I think mostly in this movie it works, but I don't know. Goldmember is weird because it pushes it, but also it points out that it pushes it. But we'll get to that when we get to
Yeah.
Goldmember. I don't know. I think it's mostly fine in the second one. I do love the repetition of the money gag where he does the opposite and Gant like pushes way like too high. amount of money. He's like, that money doesn't
Yeah,
mean
it's like a
anything.
night. That was fun. That was like the main thing I liked when they repeated that because they did something new with it
Mhm.
by doing the opposite this time around.
Yeah, yeah, the little subversion. Oh, also, gotta be maybe the best joke in the movie. I love the runner of say a word that's a synonym for penis, and then they cut to the actual thing in the next scene, and they do a runner of that for way too long a time. It is so
Oh my
lowbrow,
god, that
so
fucking
like
thing,
child.
yeah. And then Woody
It's
Harrelson
so
shows up at
childish.
the end of one of the gags.
Yeah, literally, it's
Just
so childish
randomly.
that
Like it's not
I
even
love
like I expected him to just be playing a character, but like no, he's just playing himself here.
it. It's again, it's just so silly, but I really don't care. It's I love it.
It's great. Yeah, it's
It's
like
one of
there's
my
just the cut to this whole thing. I don't know. Like I said, Doctor Evil is the highlight. Just every scene with him and Mini Me, and just the fact having this miniature person, like miniature like version of him, just kind of like walking around doing the exact same thing that he's doing and not saying a word, and no one really like points anything out. Is just so funny.
Mm. Yeah, it's really silly, but you know what? I roll with that Wii ball. It's a great. I love that part where Doctor Evil uses the fucking globe and he keeps like throwing it around. He throws it at number two of the
Oh yeah,
point.
that was funny. I like
So
number two as well. I like how he's just called number two and is always trying to like make Doctor Evil. Like I like how Doctor like number two and Scott are always trying to get Doctor Evil to like, make good decisions since he's like he could so easily get the money he wants. He just wants to be evil so badly that he just tries to think of those
he
elaborate,
wants to have
stupid
the like
schemes.
silly reputation of it, as opposed to like actually being good at what he's doing. It's really funny. I think I love the whole bit of that in this movie. I think he just likes being over the top more than that, but I don't care. It's fun. I like the bit where he plays on the piano. That's
Oh
fun.
yeah, that was a
Yeah,
that was a good bit.
it's fun.
Uh
And then again, out of then I like I don't know, there's another a bunch of stupid bits in the third act where they're trying to grab stuff in the little tent, but they think it's something vulgar going on, row, which would not be as funny if it weren't for how like genuinely like what the fuck the reactions are. Again, this movie is very lowbrow and very kind of like generically crass. If you're not into that kind of thing, you probably won't like the movie. But you know what? It's got an audience, and I think there's a charm to this era of comedy. So you know what? I'm fine with Weeball, whatever. It's funny. He thinks that they're pulling the fucking umbrella out of his ass, and like
oh yeah, that whole
the
thing with like the
yeah, the
the
beard.
shadow thing.
Yeah, it's wild. Uh, then the whole like climax where it goes into like space. I like the whole thing of ending of like, oh, you had the mojo all along. It's really stupid, and I'm not sure how intentional they played that one. But also, I love when Austin from 10 minutes ago comes up, and it's like, okay, bro, whatever. Like that's so stupid. There's like they're just complimenting each other, and that's what causes it. And Doctor Evil's out again, and you know what? It wraps together the movie nicely. It's fun. Uh,
Yeah.
the Star Wars thing um, doesn't quite like that one's not like it's kind of cheap, but I don't know, it's kind of funny. And yeah, I like Austin Powers and Mini Me beefing again. That's funny near the end. That just
Yeah.
pettiness is great. And yeah, the I guess I don't know. That's it. The movie wraps up. I
Yeah,
guess
I
it's
don't
all
know what else
fun.
to really say other than I like how intentional. I like how the cheesy CG at points, like I actually like. I
Mm.
think
It's
it
certainly
works.
intentional at some
Yeah,
points.
once again, I said this before, like I think it was in the Hundreds of Beavers episode, but usually I can excuse like poor CG in these type of comedies. I get
Mhm.
even though Hundreds of Beavers didn't even have pour CG, so I don't know why I brought it up there,
No,
but
100 Beavers looks amazing. I think
exactly.
you can kind
So
of you can kind of go both ways with it because sometimes I think that's really funny to really commit to the style because then if it's so
yeah,
committed, it being stupid is funnier. But on the other end, it's also really funny I think when you have like a really really cheap looking thing, but it's
Yeah, like
played
a
straight
low
just to be funny.
budget.
And
I
that's kind
meant
of
to
what I
say
miss
that.
with John.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I kind of meant to say
And
with that.
I think these made a bank, but also they're not hugely expensive movies either, I don't
Yeah,
think.
so
So,
I think it works. A lot of it works. It's a
mhm.
solid movie. Ready
Yeah.
to drop our ratings now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go a light 8 on this one. I think it's very funny. It's not huge,
I'm
which
gonna
is why
go 7. I think I might actually like this a little more than the first actually. Even
I
though I
would
think
agree.
like I
I
think I
think that we just
prefer
have
the main
more
dynamic
stupidity.
between like the two like Austin and Vanessa a bit more, but like I don't know, they're around the
Hmm.
same level of quality for me. I can't tell which one's better actually. Never mind. Thinking about it
Yeah,
more.
it's okay, Anthony. We all think of that sometimes. But anyway, that's all with
Now
Austin
we
Powers.
enter the trilogy with Austin Powers in
Austin Powers
Goldmember.
in Goldmember. It's weird that it's not just called Austin Powers Goldmember, but they used to do that. Blank actor in blank. It's like a classic. Especially with they probably did James Bond in Doctor No, in Thunderball, in Goldfinger. Those are the first ones that I came to mind. Austin Powers in Goldmember is I like this movie. If anything, I think a lot of it is still very fun, but it has more evident problems than I think the other ones do,
It
and it's kind
was,
of
I
like
mean, I'm kind of very mixed on it. Like, I don't know. It's not like a bad movie or anything. It's just not, find, I just didn't have as much fun with it as the other ones. And I think it,
I
like,
don't know. I just
some of it
enjoy
was good.
Goldmember
Some of it,
more.
like, I think there were a couple of funny jokes. Like, I like the opening of this with, like, the
I
whole
okay, I will
Austin
say
Powers, like, in-universe movie thing with Gwyneth Paltrow, Tom Cruise, Danny DeVito as Mini-Me.
it's
Like, come on.
so silly. I love the whole thing. Like Spielberg there for some reason, as if Spielberg would direct an Austin Powers movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But the whole thing of that opening parody is so good. Cruise doing it, which it's great. I love that Steven Spielberg actually did the backflip you see him do. That's so funny. And then the fucking but I love the whole thing after just all this big, so bombastic, just embracing how like fun these movies are on like base level. I think it's really funny. Honestly,
I
I
think the
love
movie
it.
peaks with the opening, to be honest.
It does. I love that they call out Sir Quincy Jones, who was actually the person who fucking played who did the Soul Bossa Nova song. That's the Austin Powers theme.
Oh
Then the
yeah, that was
Britney
cool.
Spears part where he like they're fembots to Austin Powers and Riz blows them up. But I didn't mention it. But I love the joke in Austin Powers 1 where apparently him just being horny is able to blow up the fembots and the song they play during that.
Yeah, that was
That bit's
funny.
fun. I like that. But yeah. Um Also, the bit in two where the guy dies because she shows her tits. That's funny. But a gold member, not the previous gold member. This one's weird because they try to add more lore to it because we learned that Austin Powers' dad, played by Michael Caine, he's one of the highlights. Nigel Powers. I love Michael Caine,
I
and I
was not
love the way
expecting Michael Caine to even be in this movie, so him playing I thought low key I thought Austin Powers' dad was just gonna be played by Mike Myers. Like I it just seemed like the type of
honestly,
thing
I
they
wouldn't
do.
be shocked if they did that, but
Yeah, but like
which
I was
like
happy with Michael Caine being there. I was like I honestly I kind of wish he was in the movie more and like I a part of me wishes it was like they almost went in a fucking Last Crusade direction where it focuses on like the main character and his dad. Like obviously it's not going to be as good as Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade,
well,
but you know,
obviously.
it's like it's a bit of a weird comparison, I know, but you know, it's like
Yeah. No,
it's
I get that whole thing. It could be definitely kind of fun in that sense. I will say, whenever Nigel is around, he absolutely steals the show for me. Like, I love this bit they do where they're both kidnapped, and Nigel's like, he's like, "All right, you want to? If you're gonna talk English, you got no." Like Austin's like, "If you're gonna talk English, you got to do English," and English is just British slang that makes literally
oh
like
my,
at this point
okay,
they don't
that
they
was
can,
one of the gags that I actually really
at
liked.
a certain point they can't even subtitle it, so they're just yapping, "Shat on a turtle." Like it's so
Yeah,
stupid. I
there's just
love the part.
yapping
It's
nonsense
so
by
good.
the end of it, forgetting
Yeah.
about the
I
subtitles.
don't know. My whole thing is I can't entirely take the arc of this movie seriously. Where Austin's like, "You were never there for me, Dad." When I will say the song is kind of goated. Daddy wasn't there. We play that in the club. It's iconic as hell. But uh, yeah, I don't know. It just the whole when they do that flashback where he's like, "I want to see my dad," and I'm like, can I just say that the teenage versions of Austin Powers and Doctor Evil are kind of horrifying.
Yeah, it's
Like,
weird. It's just weird looking. Like when I didn't even expect them to do like that thing, so that was kind of like a random jump scare.
yeah, it's wild, honestly. But it's fun in a way. I like it.
I did, yeah, I guess just like the main issue is I just didn't really find much of like the gag usages all that funny. I don't know, I just can't really recall many like interesting ones. And in general, I just feel like the story here was just kind of nah. I just didn't have much
I
like as
will
much
say
fun with it.
this one has like because on the one hand you have Goldmember, who I think is probably the weakest out of all the characters Mike
Oh
Myers
yeah,
played.
I'm gonna be real. I did not find Goldmember all that funny, and like I just oh he likes gold. That's his main joke. That's
His goal, yeah, I will say on top of that, Goldmember's kind of a dead zone. Beyonce is an even deader zone because
oh
she's better
yeah.
than who she plays in The Lion King 2019, but that's not a high bar at all.
That's
So
like the
she's just
one of
like
the only other movies she was in. So like
I
yeah,
feel like she just has the least chemistry with Austin out of any of these movies. So she's less to play. Like, yeah,
that's true.
Foxy
Yeah,
Cleopatra. Like kind of the '60s are trying to do more of a rip on I think like '70s like exploitation movies where they have like those type of Bond people, that type of thing. I think is what they're trying to do, but I don't know. I don't know '70s film culture that well. I don't watch that shit. So, oh, she was also in the Pink Panther live action movie, so that's fun. But yeah, she's fine, but really Nigel is 100% carrying it when it comes to new characters,
he's
except
like
for
one of the only like I don't know. He's like one of the best parts of the movie because like I just like
mm,
that Michael Caine's performance as him.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely very, very, very fun. I like that. Um, the only thing I'd I actually I think he's a new character. Did you like the mole joke where
The
the guy
mole.
has a
Oh yeah,
mole
the
when
mole. I mean,
Mike My
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like. I don't know. I got like, oh, he's got a mole, and like, I just didn't find the joke all that funny. Like, oh, he's got a mole.
apparently that joke became a little funnier to me because apparently that joke was based off a time where Mike Myers was called out by someone for having a mole.
Okay,
So,
that
and he
makes the
was really
joke a little
offended
bit
by that.
funnier. I can't lie.
Yeah, so
The
that
fact that
makes
it
it a
was
little
based
funnier.
off
I just kind of
something.
the way they repeat that, and they're like, "Oh, like Austin Powers is like mole, 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 mole." Like, okay, I get
I
it.
think the
It's not
joke gets like.
that.
I feel like some of the jokes in this get like a bit. I don't know, like just not as a
It
bit
gets a
over.
little bit repetitive,
Yeah, like the
and the
whole
movie
piss
calls it
joke,
out.
like with the piss fountain thing. I thought that went on a bit too long.
Yeah, it dragged a
Like so
little
I don't know,
bit.
like I feel like that whole mole thing just kind of dragged. If it was like a one thing, it would have been kind of funny, but I don't know. And then they also do
Mm,
like they do the thing with like the whole describing like the whole thing in space again, but then cutting to different people saying different things. And they point out that they had the same joke in the second one. And like I'm fine with
mhm,
them doing shit like pointing out like, oh, time travel doesn't make much sense. It's Austin Powers. The movie doesn't take itself seriously. But also, it's like that weird bit of self awareness, like when they point out that they're replicating a joke, but then like not really doing anything else to differentiate itself to make that like, them pointing that out work. So I don't think it
mhm,
works that well.
mm. Yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of the getting gags in this are just kind of loose
Yeah, and I
steam.
feel like a
The one
lot. I
that
feel like this movie would have been like, a part of me wishes they just like tossed Beyonce there, make this a father son adventure with
they
Austin
could have done
and
that. I
but
think that would be more fun. I don't think she adds much to it, like
yeah,
especially compared to other.
exactly. She's just kind of
He forced too much stuff in this. Like Did you like Mini-Me's whole arc where he learns to join the good
I
side,
like
I guess?
the funniest thing about that is I just find it funny watching Mini Me dress up as Austin Powers.
I like that.
That was kind of a funny
The one joke
visual.
I thought it was kinda corny, the one joke where it's like, "Haha, Mini-Me is saying vulgar stuff to Beyonce." Like, okay,
Haha,
man.
he said it reminded me of it reminded me of that stupid little shit from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen.
Hey, well, that's a compliment, man.
Is it? Is it
Like,
really though? You know that
yeah,
stupid robot that was played by Tom Kenny? You know, remember that
oh,
thing?
maybe never
That
mind. Like that
reminded me of that.
yeah. I don't know, but a lot of there are still gags I like, I will be fair. I, uh I like that I like it when Scott, fully commits to evil
Oh
and
yeah,
is
that was
just kind of
funny. I
like,
like how they
he just
almost like
ignores
teased
it.
him as the new villain. Like I think they were planning to make a fourth one of these at some point, maybe.
I thought I don't I interpreted that as a, like, things are wrapping up, so it's like, "Haha, look at this, isn't it funny that, Scott has taken Doctor Evil's
Yeah,
place?"
because I guess
And the
Scott now
whole
really wants to like impress his father, which is a
yeah.
random ass turn.
I will say I was really feeling it when Seth Green delivers that killer diss at here. He's like so done. He's like, God damn it, why
I
now?
felt that.
I
I felt
it,
that.
like
Yeah.
I fell for him. I sympathize with
In
Scott
gen,
a
what
lot.
did you think of the twist that fucking
Okay,
Doctor
I will
Evil
say
was the
the
brother of
twist
Austin Powers the whole time?
the twist in this movie is hilarious
And now that I think about it, it makes
because
sense since they're paid by the same actor.
yeah, yeah, think about
If
that.
you
I mean
think
that
about
makes
it
sense.
that way, yeah.
I guess that lines up. But the thing I find funny is um this is mild spoilers, I guess. Not for this movie because no one cares about that. These are stupid comedies. But I'm not. What's so funny is this is Goldmember, and this is all Bond parody. In 2015, the movie Spectre apparently does the twist where Blofeld and James Bond. I think it's Blofeld. They have some like connection in that sense. James Bond took an Austin Powers twist.
That's so what? That's
Which the
crazy.
roles entirely reversed. James Bond was doing Austin Powers, and that's not and the thing is, Goldmember kinda plays it as a joke because like, it's so stupid them in the car and the explosion, how they get separated. That's clearly played for irony.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Apparently the
stupid thing.
movie
It's kind of stupid,
apparently
but
the
you
movie
know.
Spectre plays it for real, so it's like, "Bro, come on. Can you be honest with me?" Like, that's just so corny. Like, I don't like that. It's just kinda lame. I mean, enough about Spectre, I haven't even seen that movie. What I do love is how immediately it flips and then they, like, kinda oh, so the movie, like, not ends abruptly. The cut is kinda sudden because they do the bit, and then they cut to, like, oh, there's actually the Austin Powers movie and universe. And I will say, despite the fact that these are stupid comedies, I did kinda vibe with that ending where they're all like, "Oh, look, fat bastard lost all his
Oh,
weight."
yeah,
It
speaking
took
of
me
which,
out of
I
it
wasn't
when
a
they
big fan of like him coming back here.
I didn't like his joke more than that. I feel
I
like
feel
they
like
could
this character could be overused
mm,
like so easily. I feel like he should have just
my
stick
thing
into the
is,
second film and
honestly,
like, you
I
know.
think the whole thing was I think Mike Myers just really wanted to amp up. Oh, they have 4 characters all in one, which I don't even think he thought Goldmember was that funny because
Yeah, I didn't
he
find
literally
Gold. I
goes
thought Goldmember was kind of a like pretty
he like,
lame here.
at some point, he literally says, "I'm from Holland. Isn't that weird?"
Haha,
Like,
he's
okay,
Dutch. That's
he's
like the main
clearly
joke.
yeah, isn't it I feel like by a certain point, he, like, kinda is like I think Mike Myers at this point was tired of creating gimmick characters like
Yeah, I
Fat
mean this is the
Bastard, so I think he
third
was just
movie
done.
he's doing
But
with
yeah,
this. Yeah.
I will say, I wish they just had Fat Bastard in the like, the outro of the movie because I think
Yeah, that
half
would
of
have
the
been
joke
funny, like seeing
I
him
think they
lose weight. That would have, if
yeah,
that was like if that was the
mentioning
only time we saw him, that would have been funny.
I will say him mentioning Jared Fogle really caught me off guard, but,
Was this? I'm pretty sure this
yeah
was before Jared was outed as a
no,
pedophile
this was
too.
way before the allegation. Like, this is when Jared was famous enough to
Oh
be,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
fucking
definitely.
on, like, South Park and shit. He was, like, cultural touchstone. If you don't know what happened to Jared Fogle, then, ooh. But
Just watch the new Smile. Just watch that one Smiling Friends episode.
yeah, you'll get it. Jared Fogle. That's funny. But yeah, I admit that whole ending I think kind of got because as much as these movies are like stupid, very lowbrow, the charm of them still kind of gets to me in some instances, even if it's not like that well written. But you know what? It's fun. I had a good time the whole thing, and I thought it was pretty big over. I guess I don't have a huge amount more to say, but I'll run off some other gags that were funny. Did you like the Godzilla joke?
Meh.
Where they're like,
I
technically
mean,
it's
it was
not
all
Godzilla.
right. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
I thought
know.
it was fun how they're like Godzilla was not technically Godzilla because of like copyright or whatever. They have to like
I don't know.
jump
It was
around.
what.
That's
I
silly.
don't know. I just didn't find
Yeah.
most of the gags here all that funny. Like, and I just didn't think they were
Mm.
executed any like unique or different ways most of the time that I liked.
Mm. I get what you're saying.
I
It's
like. I
definitely
think the
not as.
ending sequence and just the opening is when the movie peaks, and I guess like the scenes with Michael
Mm,
Caine are kind of like, or like kind of funny, but everything in
yeah.
the middle, I was like, I don't
Did
know.
you like I kind of like the subversion that
What what's the version you were saying?
I didn't like the part though where like it's because Doctor Evil gets kidnapped at the beginning and he's captured, and
Oh
then
yeah, okay. Yeah, you cut off
that's
for a
kind of
second, so
cool.
I had trouble
I
understanding that.
That's kind of cool. I like the bit where they sing "It's a hard knock life for
I mean, it's
us."
kind of a worse version of just the two of us thing, but
I
you know
mean,
what I
kind
wish?
of.
You know what I wish they did a bit more? I wish Doctor Evil and Mini Me were in prison for longer. I kind of wish like we
That
could have
could have
seen
been a
them
fun
try.
arc. Maybe they're just in there for most of the time while Goldmember's doing stuff, and others kind of just all on that. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
kind of wish that was like more of like a
I
focus
guess it's
there
just
because that would have
self.
like I felt like there would be more comedic potential there of them trying to like take over the prison and like talk with these like the big people there. That would have been I think there was a lot of comedic potential there and I kind of was disappointed that like he wasn't in jail as much. I feel like there could have been, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. I
Yeah,
feel you.
but I still don't
So,
hate the movie. Like I said, there's like Michael Caine is great. The
mm,
ending twist is kind of funny, a bit stupid, but kind of funny. The opening sequence is good.
yeah.
It has its moments, but it's just not anything I like
It
had
has
much. I don't know.
standout gags, and admittedly, I still enjoy I just like the vibe of these movies overall,
That's
and I
fair.
find them interesting what they leave in like this history because Goldmember I think still was in the top 10 of '02, and this was the years we had like fucking Harry Potter, Chamber of Secrets, Star Wars, Attack of the Clones. I think Die Another Day, a Bond movie, was this year, and I'm pretty sure Goldmember was around the range, which is crazy. It's wild that fucking Austin Powers Goldmember it was in the same top 10 as Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. It's wild to think that a movie like this could be up with those big greats. And honestly, I get why the climate's different. People want to spend their like theater money on something that's bigger in scale. So like, oh, we won't watch that stupid comedy. Wait till it hits Netflix. I get why the mindset happens. I just kind of miss it, like it's general
Yeah.
vibe kind of
You think they'll ever
mid.
make a new one of these one day?
Mm, I think honestly,
I wouldn't be
at
surprised
this
if they're making a Shrek 5, maybe Mike Myers would want to come back for
no,
another
the
Austin
saddest
Powers.
thing, honestly, is that Vern Troyer, the guy who played Mini Me, sadly passed away in 2018. So if they
Oh.
did another one, that would be like a huge loss, I think. So I'm
It would have been
not
funny
sure.
seeing Mini Me like I don't know, I guess like team up with I don't know. There's like potential I think maybe,
You could have
but
done more. I think honestly, you could do another Austin Powers, but I feel like they kind of do it in a lame way, where the
yeah, it's
first
easy
movie
to
is kind
fuck
of
up
like
an Austin Powers
I feel
movie
like
in the modern day.
the first movie kind of does, it, but I feel like it'd be that thing where they're like, "Man, Austin Powers is attacked by woke. He doesn't give consent to the woman he
Oh
sleeps
my
with,
God, they're gonna
or
like
something."
modernize it and it's gonna
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, yeah. It'll be like woke got Austin Powers, and it'll be really corny. So
unless
I
they
don't know.
make fun of that, then that could be pretty
Yeah,
funny. I could see them
Doc.
doing that.
Mike Myers played a Doctor Evil on SNL a couple years back, so it's not like out of the question.
Uh,
He clearly, I think, still has passion for the character, but I don't know. The thing is, the thing about Goldmember too is it kind of represents also the peak of Mike Myers' career because 1 year before Goldmember is Shrek, and he got really on the Shrek high because he did Shrek. Shrek 2 is a couple years later, then Shrek the Third, and then he just kind of crashes out because he did the movie The Love Guru, and I'm pretty sure that both bombed and didn't like do well with like critics. So that just kind of killed his interest, and I feel really bad because like, by then his general comedy landscape just didn't last, and it's just like 'cause Mike Myers is such a nice guy, so I feel bad that his shit just didn't work out beyond that point. Except because he has a cameo in Inglorious Bastards, and but he and Cat in the Hat. I completely forget that's another part
yeah,
of
I
the
mentioned that earlier.
Myers.
That was like one of the main movies
Yeah,
like I knew the guy
yeah.
for before seeing this
But
movie.
I just feel bad because I love Myers, and he just doesn't have like the. I think he just personally isn't as interested as being a big star again. And honestly, that's fine. He doesn't have to be the
He did
big.
want to do another Shrek again, so like yeah, he seemed like he was definitely down to
Well,
come
granted,
back for this
Shrek's a
new one.
big V goal for Austin Powers. You have to get back into the like the formula
Yeah, it'd
and
be
the
like
it's a
it'd be
different.
different. Shrek is mostly just like him putting
Yeah.
up back the Scottish accent.
hmm Yeah. But
Uh,
it'd be different, but I'd be curious how it would go.
yeah.
I doubt it would be. And
Anyways,
yeah.
what was I
You got
gonna
any more
say?
jokes, or you feel like we can wrap up Goldmember because we're kind of just
Uh,
tangenting out
yeah,
all kinds of
that's
jokes.
mainly it. I don't know if they really did make another one, and you know, the whole thing with like the potential wokeness. Whoa, it's like making jokes like,
Yeah.
oh, Austin is getting canceled. I mean, if they like make fun of the idea of these type of jokes, like it would
Mhm.
be I don't know. Even then, now that I think about
Yeah.
it, I don't know if it'd be that funny in general. Just like referencing that type of stuff in an
Yeah.
Austin Powers movie, it'd be kind of stupid. But like
Yeah.
not in like that funny of a way. I'd find it.
It could work. I'm just worried they'd mess it up, so I wouldn't risk
Yeah,
it
it's easy
personally.
to mess up, like I said. But I'm giving
Mhm.
this like a high 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh, but I just want to run down quickly. I was remembering a couple gags. Forgive me if you brought them up and I forgot, but I just want to just quickly mention. I like the subtitles joke. That one's funny. It's like,
Eh,
hey, it's this,
it
but
all
it's this.
right.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's fun. I like the one where it's like, I have a huge rod. I wish it's not that funny. I just think it's kind of stupid. It got me. Another one also is the fucking. It's weird how they repeat the Spy Who Shagged Me like like the dick joke again, and they just call it out partway through the scene, and then they're done. Like that was really weird to me.
Yeah,
But that's all.
yeah. Like I said,
Uh,
I'm like
yeah,
I Yeah, I don't
yes,
know. I
yes,
like
you
feel
know.
like some of the jokes I don't know. There's something about the subtitle thing. Like I felt like I was close to laughing, but I don't know. I just it's hard to fully describe. I just didn't find that part all that funny.
Yeah, I know. I get you. I get you. But yeah, that's all I have on Goldmember. I'm feeling a light six. It's not amazing. I still enjoy it overall,
I
but
had
compared to
some
the first
enjoyment
two, there's
over it.
more.
I'll give it that. Like it's a
Yeah,
fun movie in some areas, I guess, but
yeah.
like also I don't really have
I
much
think it's
interest
fun
in
enough for the
revisiting it
heart. I
again.
think, can you say that much? I feel like I would go. I could give this a heart still,
Yeah,
but
but like barely, and it is a high like 5 out of 10.
mhm,
So it's not like
yeah,
it's definitely not bad. Yeah.
yeah,
Anyways, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Can't Be Cast. Don't
yeah,
really have much of a big outro here, but we'll see you in the
yeah,
next one. And
yeah.
thank you for watching again.
Yeah, thank you for our comeback. I don't know how this one turned out, but I hope you guys liked it. It's a nice
Yeah,
chill
it's a
episode.
nice
And
laid back one a bit. And
I hope you liked seeing me talk like a normal person after the Garfield episode.
yeah,
I'll say that
yeah. And
much.
remember that Matthew
uh,
can talk normally every now and again.
yeah, yeah. He forgets that as my friend sometimes, but
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And
Uh,
bye-bye.